crazy time.
It is time for us to do what we have been doing, and that time is every day.
We'll know in a very short period of time, but it looks like it could be something that will be not good. Believe me, not good.
I see issue with that. And again, hey.
You're not going to be able to insult your way to the presidency. That's not going to happen.
I don't know who created Pokemon Go, but I'm trying to figure out how we get them to have Pokemon go to the polls.
I'm Ted Cruz, and my pronoun is kiss my ass.
So when you think about it, there is great significance to the passage of time in terms of what we need to do to lay these wires, what we need to do to create these jobs.
America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was going to put
Not good. Believe me, not good.
Hello, dissidents. Welcome, one and all. A pleasant good morning out there to all of you. Welcome to a Morning Dew edition of the Dew Dissidents podcast. Keaton Weiss here with Russell Dobula, of course.
Feliz año nuevo, mis amigos.
That's right. We are here in the year 2025. And just wanted to announce this will be technically the final regularly scheduled Morning Dew. So starting next week, we are moving the morning show to 12 p.m. on Fridays. 12 p.m. on Fridays. We think it'll just make for a better show. There are instances like last night where news broke overnight at 3 o'clock in the morning.
We're texting at 6.
Yeah, exactly. And so, it'll just give us more time to catch up on situations like that. We figure it'll give us the morning to put together the breaking stuff, because when we go this early, it's just not doable. Well, we did the best we could, and I think we did pretty good. We were giving you the up-to-the-minute news, but had to stay up very, very, very late last night to catch the last of it, and then get up very, very early today to make sure we didn't miss anything. So it just makes it really difficult. And we think timing-wise, 12 p.m. is still a 5 or 6 p.m. start over across the pond. And it's a little bit later, so it gives people a chance to wake up a little bit and catch us. So we're not losing the Thursday show. We're just moving it to 12 p.m. And the real reason we're doing it is to step on the Majority Report's time slot. That's really that's the added bonus too. We get to eat into their audience. We're trying to cannibalize the Radlib audience in 2025. That's part of our business plan.
It has come to our awareness that we have tremendous overlap with Emma Vigeland's fan base.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So we should go after it.
Yeah. It's time we go head to head. We've been cowering all this time. We've been being like, hey, we better do 9. We don't want to go up against that Emma block.
Right. So may the best show win starting next week. Plus, the other cool part of this is we'll be out of Kit's way. I always felt kind of lousy doing a show at the same time as Kit did. I mean, he goes live every morning, Monday through Friday. So if we're going to do a morning show, it's inevitable we would overlap once. But I'm always like, it's kind of a drag that we're kind of at the same time. Mm-hmm. So that's another added bonus, too, is that we'll be out of his way. And so we think that'll work better. Plus, it'll give you guys a great morning. You'll be able to go straight from Hardlands to us. Boom. Back to back.
I mean, I feel like 9 is just masochistic. Like, it's not really good for the American audience, and it's not really good for the European audience. The only people it's good for are in India.
And that's true. That's true.
It's not even good for them, actually. In India, that's 10 o'clock.
That's 10
wants to start watching this shit at 10 o'clock.
That's true. That's true. So we will move the show to noon starting next week. The main benefit of that is give us time to catch up on the breaking stuff in the early morning. So that's the deal with that. Not losing a show, still doing the same output. It'll just be a few hours later starting next week. All right, well, let's jump right into things. We got a lot to get to today. The world does not stop. Man, 2025 off to a hell of a start, is it not? Right. Jesus Christ. I mean, in New Year's, you kind of, yeah, it's a silly, I guess, to make resolutions and to think of turning over a new leaf, but not really. I mean, it's a new year, it's a milestone in your life, so you're like, all right, let's try to have a good year, and then boom. I mean, right out of the gate, two terrorist attacks, a mass shooting in Queens. I mean, Jesus Christ,
mass shooting in Queens.
Yeah, yes, last night at a nightclub there was a shooting in Queens.
I didn't
11
even hear
people. That's what this is why we're moving the show to noon because it's hard to hear. The only reason I heard of it is because excuse me, I was up until after midnight putting together the segment that we're going to do in a little bit. So I just saw it come across my laptop before I went to bed. I was just up with my laptop putting together this show for you all. So yeah, pretty rough start to the new year.
Yeah, I saw that with New Orleans, and I spent 2 months there over the winter as an audition. I was auditioning New Orleans as a possible second home, if not a primary home. And New Orleans, you got crazy crime. You have the murder rate's insane, the carjacking rate's insane. You have hurricanes. But I thought to myself, one thing I wouldn't have to worry about if I lived here, terrorism.
ISIS, right.
ISIS. Who's going to bother to hit New Orleans?
Well,
wrong.
We will get to that in due time, fairly shortly. That's, I think, third in the rotation. But we want to pick up where we've been leaving off, which is on this H1B visa debate. So the New York Post had reported, of course, that Donald Trump took Elon's side in the H1B visa brouhaha that erupted on Twitter over the Christmas holiday week. But now we get to hear from him firsthand. So this was at the New Year's Eve party at Mar-a-Lago. Reporters caught up to Trump and asked him why the change of heart on H1B visas.
Why'd you change your mind on H1B visas, sir?
I didn't change my mind. I've always felt we have to have the most competent people in our country. We need competent people. We need smart people coming into our country. And we need a lot of people coming in. We're going to have jobs like we've never had before.
But sir, you said you changed your position. You plan to go to the Carter.
We need a lot of people coming in. The music was a little loud. They should have captioned this. I don't know if you heard that.
Coming into our country. And we need a lot of people coming in. We're going to have
We need a lot of people coming in.
Under sleepy Joe Biden, immigration has been far too restrictive.
Yes.
They haven't been bringing in enough workers to our great country. We have so many jobs going unfilled. I'm going to throw open the floodgates on January 20th.
Yeah, I've been saying this all along. I've been saying there aren't nearly enough immigrants in our great country. We don't have nearly enough people coming in. I've been saying this the whole time.
That's what people voted for.
I've been saying there aren't enough boys and girls high school sports. I've been saying that, too, that we really need to start integrating the gender sports at the high school level. I've been saying that. I've been saying we really need to socialize our healthcare system. I've been saying that.
I'm a very big fan of trans fats. We need more trans fats. In the
yeah,
food.
but seed oil, came to my attention recently.
Oil?
A lot of seed oil in the McDonald's French fries.
Somebody showed me a chart. 1975 seed oils are up here. Now they're down here.
Yeah, exactly.
Wages go down with the seed oils.
So Midas Touch came up with a couple of receipts here to show that indeed he has changed his mind on this issue. Here's a very brief exhibit of that.
Nobody knows the system better than me. I know the H1B. I know the H2B. Nobody knows it better than me. I know the H1B very well, and it's something that I frankly use, and I shouldn't be allowed to use. We shouldn't have it. Very, very bad for workers.
As we speak, we're finalizing H1B regulations so that no American worker is replaced ever again. H1Bs should be used for top, highly paid talent to create American jobs, not as inexpensive labor program to destroy American jobs.
Why'd you change your mind on H1B visas, sir?
I didn't change my mind. I've always felt we have to have the most competent people in our country. We need competent people. We need smart people coming into our country. And we need a lot of people coming in. We're going to have jobs like we've never had before.
But sir, you said you changed your...
We need very competent people. We need smart people. And we're going to have jobs like we never had before. seems pretty uncomfortable answering that question. You know, he is a savvier bullshit artist than a lot of people give him credit for. Although by now, I think it is pretty well established that he's probably among the most successful bullshitters ever, since he was able to bullshit his way to the presidency twice. And, you know, if you see there, we need a lot of competent people. We need smart people coming in. He's trying to have it both ways. Yeah, this is an elite visa program, but not really. You know, he seems very uncomfortable answering that question. And I think the reason he's uncomfortable answering that question is because, as we've said for the past couple of weeks now, it's not his country. It's Elon's country. It's Elon Musk's country. Yep. Elon completely bent him to his will on this issue. And what makes it especially awkward on New Year's Eve is that Elon was in the house. He was in the house at the party while he was answering those questions. Now, I would love to play you the music of this because this was to the YMCA. The Village People actually showed up and played the YMCA.
You're kidding me.
But no, they were actually there at Mar-a-lago.
They're
and
not dead?
That's what they're dancing to here. I don't know if it's the original lineup.
It must be, yeah.
They must have new members.
Yeah.
But yeah, they were there at Mar-a-Lago playing the YMCA. Now, we can't play the YMCA for you because that's copyright protected, but you know what we do in that case. And I think this works pretty well. Now look at Elon decides to get up and start dancing because he sees Trump dancing. I love this video. This is just fun.
Why does God only give money to people with no rhythm?
Right.
Is that like a rule?
Yeah.
Or does the money make you lose your rhythm? Do you have rhythm until you get the money? Or do you get the money because you have no rhythm?
Because you have no rhythm. That's a good existential question. That's a good philosophical
the eternal question. That goes all the way back to Sophocles.
That's right. The eternal question, in fact. Yep. Yes. So, kind of awkward for Donald Trump. He had asked that question with Elon breathing right down his neck in the house at the party. But to supplement this, there was the interesting and kind of funny New York Times piece that came out a couple of days ago, which says Elon has he has been living on the grounds at Mar-a-Lago since the first week of November. How Elon Musk has planted himself almost literally at Trump's doorstep. For much of the period since Election Day, the billionaire has been staying at a $2,000 a night cottage at Mar-a-Lago, giving him easy access to the president-elect. Elon Musk plays many roles with President-elect Donald J. Trump. He is Mr. Trump's most important donor, most influential social media promoter, and a key advisor on policy and personnel. For most of the time since Election Day, he has also been Mr. Trump's tenant. Mr. Musk
is making him pay?
Well,
he doesn't get it on the arm?
They don't know yet. They don't, apparently, according to the article, which we'll get to, Trump doesn't invoice people until after their stay. So it's still up in the air whether he's going to charge them or not. Mr. Musk has been using one of the cottages available for rent on Mr. Trump's property at Mar-a-Lago, the former Marjorie Merriweather Post home in Florida that Mr. Trump converted into a members-only club and hotel in the 90s, according to two people with knowledge of the arrangement. The cottage where he has been staying, named Banyan, is several hundred feet away from the main house, according to a person who knows the property. Staying right on the grounds has helped provide Mr. Musk with easy access to Mr. Trump. He can drop in on Mr. Trump's dinners, such as the one he had recently with Mr. Musk's rival, the Amazon founder Jeff Bezos.
I told him you have to start staying in a cabin further away. That grinds. I never heard noises like that come out of a person or an animal.
Yeah, right, exactly, yeah. You need to soundproof that villa out there. Mr. Musk, who spent more than $250 million in the final months of this year's election cycle to help elect Mr. Trump, has attended personnel meetings in the Mar-a-Lago tea house, sat in on phone calls with foreign leaders, and spent hours with Mr. Trump in his office. Mr. Musk's employees from his various businesses have also been integrally involved in the transition vetting prospective candidates for senior administration jobs in interviews at the Trump transition headquarters in West Palm Beach. Mr. Musk is not the only member of the president-elect's inner circle who has been bunking on Mr. Trump's property. Vice President-elect J.D. Vance has stayed in one of the cottages at Mar-a-Lago when he has been in Palm Beach and has been there frequently during the transition, according to a person with knowledge of his stays. And others are said to have used cottages since Election Day, but few have been as omnipresent as Mr. Musk. Mr. Trump has bragged to people that Musk, the world's richest man, is, quote, renting one of the residential spaces at Mar-a-Lago. It's unclear how much Mr. Musk will ultimately end up paying for the cottage, which historically has rented for at least $2,000 a night, according to a person with knowledge of the fees. Officials at the club do not typically bill guests until the end of their stay, leaving open the possibility that Mr. Trump will choose not to charge Mr. Musk or to reduce the size of his bill. But Mr. Trump is not known to shy away from income opportunities. If anything, he'll charge him more. Okay, so your bill is $300 million. Yes,
it's a contribution.
You not only had access to the house, but you had access to my office, round the clock access to the kitchen and to the office and the golf course.
It also says here that you used the minibar. You should know better than that. How'd you get rich using the minibar? We always charge way up on the minibar stuff.
Minibar is $80,000 a day. You know that. Come on, Elon. You know that.
And you drank the vodka.
Yeah, right. Yes, exactly. This will be their falling out. He'll overcharge us for the stay, and they'll have a big blow up. Yeah. Mr. Musk moved into the cottage around Election Day and watched the returns at Mar-a-Lago with Mr. Trump. He left. Why do they keep calling him Mr. and Mr.? Just Musk Trump. Why does the New York Times does this? Mr. this, Mr. that. Just use their last names. He left the property around Christmas and has been expected to return in the coming days. Mr. Musk is known around the club to make requests like meals outside the normal kitchen hours. See, they could charge you extra for that. Trump is not going to let that go without an upcharge. Then it's going to
be read your contract. That's a $6 million steak you ate, my friend.
That's $1 million convenience fee per day to have 24/7 kitchen access. Okay, you don't just come into my property and start requesting chicken dinners at 11:30 at night. While staying in Mar-a-Lago, he has been accompanied by at least 2 of his children. Mr. Musk has at least 11. Damn, Jesus Christ. And their nannies. One of the mothers of his children, Siobhan Zillis, who worked for Mr. Musk at his brain implant company Neuralink, has also been photographed at Mar-a-Lago after the election. On Friday, in a post on Truth Social...
Could you just bend over after you do the numbers?
Yeah, right, exactly.
I need to pop out another one.
I need another one.
Populate the planet.
Make it 12, exactly. Yes, really sticking it to the New World Order.
Yeah.
On Friday, in a post on Truth Social that seemed intended as a private communication to Mr. Musk, Mr. Trump wrote, now this is an interesting interpretation of this. I didn't take it that way, but now that they mention it, it kind of does seem like maybe he meant to write this as a text or a DM and didn't realize he was typing it in Truth Social. Where are you? When are you coming to the center of the universe, Mar-a-Lago? Bill Gates asked to come tonight. We miss you and X. New Year's Eve is going to be amazing. DJT. Yeah, that seems like it was maybe meant to send as a private communication. It does. I mean, I never even thought of that until I read it. But yeah, it doesn't read like an announcement. It reads like a text to Elon. Hey, you haven't been around. I miss you, Elon. Where you been, Elon? New Year's Eve's going to be off the hook, Elon. Some of Trump's advisors have privately griped about how much influence Mr. Musk has had on the transition and how inseparable he is from the president-elect. Mr. Musk is unlikely to have such unfettered physical access to Mr. Trump after the president-elect is sworn in on January 20th in Washington.
That's what they think.
Yeah, that's what they think. Right, exactly. Coming and going in the West Wing is more onerous than at Mr. Trump's private clubs, as is access to the White House residence. Still, Mr. Trump has often liked to collect people and has enjoyed knowing that many of them pay for access to him. Since he first took office, people seeking to curry favor with him or to get FaceTime with him have joined his clubs, rented ballrooms at his properties, or stayed in his hotels. Mr. Trump is said to have increased the initial membership fee at Mar-a-Lago to $1 million. There you go, cashing in. So you have a picture here that confirms what we've been thinking this past month, which is, yeah, I mean, Elon has basically attached himself to Donald Trump. And of course, that explains his reversal on H-1B visas. You could see it in his voice that he wasn't comfortable answering that question. You can see, I mean, look, this was a very sheepish answer.
Why'd you change your mind on H-1B visas, sir?
I didn't change my mind. I've always felt we have to have the most competent people in our country.
We need competent, smart people.
We need smart people coming into our country. And we need a lot of people coming in. We're going to have jobs like we've never had before.
But sir, you said you changed your position. You plan to go to the Carter funeral next?
Yeah, that is the influence of Elon Musk. And you have now, I mean, look, they talk about Donald Trump selling access through Mar-a-Lago, Hillary Clinton, when she was Secretary of State, I believe it was 40% of the meetings she took as Secretary of State were from donors to the Clinton Foundation.
That is exactly what I was just thinking about.
Yeah, so Donald Trump's not breaking any new ground, whoring himself out, using the power of the governments, to enrich himself in the private sector. Obviously, that is as American as apple pie by this time. But when the richest man moves onto your property, the richest man in the world moves onto your property, rents your guest house essentially for $2,000 a night plus whatever the minibar tab is, and orders Congress around via tweets and breaks the president on his signature issue, it has reached a comical length. It has reached a cartoonish extreme where Capital has now very, very officially, I would say, out in the open, just swallowed the state to the point where we just assume now that what Elon Musk says goes. I mean, it really is the capture of the presidency by not only the richest man in the world, the richest man in the history of the world by leaps and bounds, $400 billion. He's got almost $200 billion on the second richest man, Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos, last I checked, was at $234 billion. So it has just reached absurd lengths. And if this is not idiocracy meets end stage capitalism, I don't know what it is.
This is where the idea that electing Donald Trump was some kind of a defeat of the deep state, a defeat of power, and a triumph for the people is really just sad. And you're still seeing some people trying to say, well, we're having a debate in MAGA about H1B visas. That's healthy. You see, that would never happen with the Democrats. Now, you're right about that part. You're right about that part, that the Democrats would never push back on Obama or somebody in this way, right as they're ascending to power. You're right about that. What you're wrong about is that your leaders have any fucks to give about what you think. That's the part where you're wrong. Right. Don't tell me about how they didn't pick Pompeo, so they pick Rubio. These people are interchangeable. That's an easy win for them. It lets the peasants think they got something. Look, we got them not to pick Pompeo. You got the same policies. You got the same basic people. You didn't actually change anything structural. You just changed whose name goes on the door. That's not change. H-1B visas. You're messing with the money. You're messing with the money. You're messing with the real stuff. They're not going to let you do that. Look at what Donald just said. He knows you're mad. He knows you're mad. What did he say? Yeah, no, I always thought this. That's what he said. The fix is in, man. They don't care about you. They never cared about you. They used your anger. They used your resentment in order for one part of the ruling class to triumph over the other. Right. That's all this is. This is about who gets the spoils of late stage capitalism. And either way, it ain't going to be you.
Exactly. It's the red meat billionaire class versus the tofurkey billionaire class. And this was a power grab by the red meat eaters. Right. And that's all it is. And, I understand that to a lot of people, it's kind of fun to root for the billionaire class that has a more renegade aesthetic about it, right? It's fun. It's TV. It's fiction. It's a cartoon. It's not real. The New York Times prints their Elon Musk has round-the-clock access to Trump and uses it to crash dinners between Trump and his rival, Jeff Bezos. They're not really rivals. They're rivals in a very superficial sense. They are class allies, and they are our class rivals. We're the rivals with them. They're not rivals
Jeff,
with each other.
I was going to go over to my Neuralink offices and torture a monkey later. You want to join?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, sure. Why not? Yeah. Just got to give my girlfriend her injection up in her tits first. Yeah. But you could see even in that piece there where he says we're going to have so many jobs to go around. He doesn't think that. He doesn't believe that. Out of the other side of his mouth, he's warning about a depression.
Right.
He's saying there's going to be a crash
Elon
next year.
said
Blame
that
the
2 weeks
Democrats.
before
Elon
the
says
election.
that. Right. So they're just. I won't.
There's
even
going
say
to be economic chaos and pain.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I won't even say they're squirming. They're not so much squirming as they're just wincing through it. He's a lame duck. This is part of the issue with electing a president who can't run again. Is that what are you going to do now? Like, he doesn't have a campaign.
What does he have to
run.
lose?
You think Donald Trump really gives a shit if J.D. Vance wins? Like, he'll tank the party if he has to. Like, it doesn't really matter. God bless. He is being ordered around now. It's very, very obvious. It's extremely obvious. The guy's lived on the property for 2 months now.
Donald Trump went on a stage and minced around talking about how quickly he got things done for Sheldon Adelson while Miriam had to calm him down because he was being yelled at by Sheldon Adelson. He's bragging about this.
Right.
Miriam would say, calm down, calm down. I got to Golden Heights in about 15 minutes. What on earth made you think this guy is some kind of a man?
Right.
What made you think this was a man? What kind of man goes on stage to brag about how quickly he got things done for Zionist donors who were yelling at him?
Right.
Like that's a good thing. Look how fast I did the will of my Zionist donors. Why did you think this was a man? That you elected a man? Why did you think this was the kind of person who's going to say, fuck you, Elon? Of course it isn't. He doesn't say that to the Adelsons. You think he's going to say that to somebody who's got enough money to buy 10 Adelsons?
Exactly. Now you have to wait and see what happens when Elon disputes the minibar bill. That might push
that might be it.
That might bring out the
he might find his testes there
in him. Yeah, exactly. That'll bring out the queens in him. Yeah, we'll see. We'll have to wait and see about that. Aramin has joined YouTube as a fan member. Thank you, Aramin. Appreciate that very much. Michael Castillo says, good morning, gentlemen. I hope all dissidents are well and healthy as can be. We are all in this together. Thank you, Michael. It's very kind of you to say. And Michael dropped a $50 chat on us, so let's get Michael's sound drop on right here. And the cowbell, beautiful. Thank you, Michael, very much. As always, appreciate you very much. We got.
As for me against you, who the hell are you? Are you Jesus Christ, you loser?
I'm at work early, high on a large coffee, black with a double shot of espresso from Krispy Kreme. Loving the show as always. I thought you took Friday off for Shabbat. Well, Shabbat. Sabbath. No, Shabbat. That's right. We took Friday off. Well, we actually are working tomorrow night. So we have the Post-Duopoly show at 7:00 tomorrow night, actually. So we are doing a show tomorrow.
We're not. We do not take off for that reason.
Not for that reason. No. Not for that reason. Killer Hit and Whitney Cummings has never done much for me as a comic, but mentioning the dead president's chefs on live TV was next level. I bet Anderson Vanderbilt threw up in his mouth. Thank you, Killer Hit.
I didn't see that part. Do you have that?
I don't have that one. I thought the Hunter Biden one was actually better. I thought the Hunter Biden one was actually much better. But I have a few highlights. I used to want to put Emma's face in a bowl and eat it with a spoon. Not anymore. All right. That's your personal taste. Elon has Keaton way beat on procreation. Keaton, you got some work ahead of you. Yeah, I have about $400 billion ahead of me. I can barely afford 3. So, it's easy to have 11 or 12 when you got that kind of coin. Yeah. So
we're on our way. Subs are up.
Yes, subs are up. Yeah, exactly. I should say that. Get us to 100,000 and I'll have another child. Yes, that would be a good incentive. That'd be fun. All right, so we're gonna move on. Okay, so this is kind of a story that is related to the H-1B visa debate and related to one of our beats of 2024, and will certainly be an ongoing story in 2025. So, Russell, go ahead.
Okay, so this is actually an old story that got new life because of the debate around the H-1B visa. Somebody dug this up from 2019. A site called 411 dug this up, and then everyone started circulating it again. Now, this fella, you think I got to think about Boeing? Whoever Derenick Bird is, he is on the case. So why are Boeing planes falling apart? Exhibit A. Boeing engaged $9 an hour Indian engineers to build 737 MAX software. I got to say, as somebody who's been on this story, they did report it in 2019, but it has not been something that's gotten brought up a lot in the narrative since. So the original reporting on this was Bloomberg. This article dropped June 28th, 2019, and the revelations in it were quickly forgotten. It remains the mystery at the heart of Boeing Company's 737 MAX crisis. How a company renowned for meticulous design made seemingly basic software mistakes, leading to a pair of deadly crashes. Longtime Boeing engineers say the effort was complicated by a push to outsource work to lower-paid contractors. The MAX software, plagued by issues that could keep the planes grounded months longer after U.S. regulators this week revealed a new flaw, remember this is 2019, was developed at a time Boeing was laying off experienced engineers and pressing suppliers to cut costs. So this was right after the two plane crashes when this was written. Increasingly, the iconic American plane maker and its subcontractors have relied on temporary workers making as little as $9 an hour to develop and test software, often from countries lacking a deep background in aerospace, notably India. In offices across from Seattle's Boeing field, recent college graduates employed by the Indian software developer HCL Technologies Limited occupied several rows of desks, said Mark Rabin, a former Boeing software engineer who worked in a flight test group that supported the MAX. The coders from HCL were typically designing to specifications set by Boeing. Still, quote, it was controversial because it was far less efficient than Boeing engineers just writing the code, Rabin said. Frequently, he recalled, it took many rounds going back and forth because the code was not done correctly. Boeing's cultivation of Indian companies appear to pay other dividends. In recent years, it has won several orders for Indian military and commercial aircraft, such as a $22 billion one in January 2017 to supply SpiceJet Limited. That order included 100 737 MAX 8 jets and represented Boeing's largest order ever from an Indian airline, a coup in a country dominated by Airbus. Based on resumes posted on social media, HCL engineers helped develop and test the MAX's flight display software, while employees from another Indian company, Cyient Limited, handled software for flight test equipment. Sales are another reason to send the work overseas. In exchange for an $11 billion order in 2005 from Air India, Boeing promised to invest $1.7 billion in Indian companies. That was a boon for HCL and other software developers from India, such as Cyient, whose engineers were widely used in computer services industries, but not yet prominent in airspace. Okay, so obviously with Vivek claiming that Americans have a cultural problem that makes them lousy engineers, everyone's been glomming onto this story and saying, well, look at what the Boeing engineers are saying. They had to keep fixing the work of the Indian engineers. So this is Boeing in 2023 celebrating the fact that Air India made a big order of the MAX and the Dreamliner, both planes that whistleblowers have said are dangerous and poorly designed. The Dreamliner is the one that I think his name is Salapur described the workers jumping on the joints to get them to line up. Right. And then the MAX, we know about the MAX. So Derenick Bird, I don't think he's MAGA. I think he's based. Capitalism at work. That seems to be where he's coming at this from. So he's written a lot about accidents. Apparently, there are more accidents going on than we know. It's just people generally, except in South Korea, are not getting killed. And it's not front page anymore. But yeah, a Boeing plane apparently in Oslo just went off the runway because of landing gear malfunction. $9 an hour engineer. This is what they want us competing against. And they'll boast that this modern-day slave does 80-hour weeks while calling us lazy. You know what I call them? Slaveholders. And our based new friend Derenick, they want slaves. They don't want employees. Exactly.
These are supposed to be the top 0.1% and the top 0.001%. They hire for $9.
$9
an hour.
That's why we need to give them H1B visas, so we can pay them $9 an hour. Here's something else that's a little terrifying if you're having them design aerospace software. Renowned Indian university sells 36,000 fake degrees. And here's another one.
Here.
Over 43,000 fake degrees issued by Rajasthan University. Many degree holders in secured government jobs. Wow. Wow. Yeah, no. India, they just have a superior culture there. They just have a superior culture of study and achievement. Not like those Americans.
I should go get a degree there.
You should.
I can finally finish.
Yeah, you don't have one. Yeah.
I don't have one.
Yeah. I was telling Jose, yo, in New York, it's free. Just go get a freaking degree, man.
I mean, I always just thought about just telling people I had one, even though I didn't. I mean,
I
wouldn't
just lie about it. What's the difference?
Yeah, I mean, like, I wouldn't
Who's
lie
gonna
to
check?
you guys about it because I don't care about it. But, like, if a job said you need a degree, why not just say I have one? I hope they don't check. I think a lot of people do that. I'm pretty sure a lot of people do that.
So, folks, please be generous in this new year. We don't want Keaton to have to go lie on job applications.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Today, Labor 411 posted this pic. That's the site that unearthed this again. Boeing is naughty. We've likely heard of this, but Boeing outsourced engineers to India for $9 an hour. It was an effort to save money. The typical American aerospace engineer makes $29.59 to $117.46 per hour. However, you are told Americans are not being replaced to save money. Elon, Vivek, and even Trump say we need more. Yet isn't Boeing losing panels, wheels, and even getting people stuck in space? Or did I dream that in 2024? America is we the people, not only the land and resources. Amen. That is something Trump claimed to understand, but apparently not when Elon starts writing the checks.
Exactly. No, exactly. I mean, that really was the main philosophical difference between like Trumpism and Mitt Romneyism.
Right.
America
is a place.
America is a place. It's not just
With
an idea.
people.
We're not just the arbiter of a global marketplace. We're a land with people with interests and desires and aspirations, and it's the job of the government to advocate for them. That is Trumpism, economically speaking, anyway, in a nutshell. And that's out the window now because the world's richest man got his ear and rented his villa and is drinking his vodka out of the minibar, and that's that.
Here's the minibar.
Yeah.
The markup on those are crazy. Alimentarius here says, this is what America needs desperately, apparently. Let's add this snippet to the H1B visa debate on India's engineering excellence and America's jock culture. And here we got what I think we can safely say, the racist side of MAGA. If Indian if India is a source of vast technical talent, why does India look like India? The British would like to have a word, Mr. Carter. If India is an untapped pool of elite human capital, why is it that every single one of our tech giants has gone to shit since we started filling them with Indians? Boeing was literally, this is misinfo science, Boeing was literally destroyed by Indian software developers. Putting MBAs in charge of anything was an incalculable mistake. Now, I am just going to say it's more complicated than that. We've been on this story for quite a while. What people with that kind of a facile explanation do not want to get into is, in many ways, the incentives of capitalism destroyed Boeing. Because in the end, a company that was run for decades with a philosophy of, if you build it, they will come. If you just build the best plane, then the money will take care of itself. Eventually merged with McDonnell Douglas, which had a culture of chasing the stock price. And that culture wound up eating the company because the incentives of making the best plane aren't really compatible with the incentive of driving the next quarter, of always driving the stock price higher for the next quarter. That involves cost cutting and showing how much money you saved and how much the labor costs are coming down. And it's inherently in conflict with a company that is known for engineering the best plane, no matter what the costs are to do that. But at the same time, in regards to the debate we're having right now, part of that incentive structure was to take, the article gets into, these people were not, it's not like they brought in a bunch of Indian engineers with 20 years of experience. They brought in a bunch of college kids to design software for this plane that hundreds and thousands of lives are going to be dependent on.
Well, yeah, of course. And that's the determinative factor, obviously, and it's unfortunate, very unfortunate, that so much of the MAGA rank and file just can't help but shoot themselves in the dick by reducing it to this, matter of, well, the Indians. No, it has nothing to do with them being Indian. They could be Indian, Chinese, they could be African, European.
Right.
What
if you get a bunch of American college kids who just got out of school to design that software?
Right. The operative principle here is you found people who are willing to work for $9 an hour. They could be of any color or any background, doesn't matter. People who are willing to do that kind of work for $9 an hour are not going to do it well, no matter where they come from or what they look like. It's so clearly not about that. It's not a cultural question. That's what was wrong with Vivek's take. This is about you're hiring people for less money. You pay someone $9 an hour to design a plane. You're going to get a shittier plane than the guy
what you pay for.
Right, who's going to invoice you a few grand a week for their work. That's what it's about. It's not about them being Indian. The question here is a question of cost.
Or not Indian. I mean, that was where Vivek shot himself in the dick.
Right, exactly.
He made it about American culture, which he has to. Because these billionaires, how did Vivek make his money? Lying about an Alzheimer's drug? They can't have an honest conversation about capitalism because it indicts them.
Right, exactly. And so, that is the main takeaway here. That's the main takeaway. And it's just so funny how in this story that was, a few years old, kind of flew past people's radar in this respect because we weren't having this H1B visa debate back then. But you see how those two stories kind of collide.
Come together. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Don McCarthy, thanks for the $4.99. My 2025 prediction is that Keaton and Russell start the Do Dissident Psychic Friends Network and invite Dionne Warwick to join. There you go. Good one, Don. Interesting prediction there. Patty Savage, thanks for the $9.99. Says, we will watch you guys anytime. Happy New Year from Delaware. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's very nice. Happy New Year to you as well. We got a nice crowd in here. 1,700 is strong in the YouTube chat. 741 over on Rumble. So please smash that like button here in the morning. Let's get the word out for the last morning dew show.
These days we've been getting more on Rumble sometimes than YouTube.
Yeah.
I think it's the morning show. Too many of our Rumble people still haven't had their smack for the morning.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah. Star Fury, thanks for the $5. Love it. We are officially beyond the Twilight Zone. My president knows how to dance. Happy New Year. There you go, Star Fury. Love you all, but sometimes you're too quick to pick sides like Jimmy on H1B. Many 0.1% started on H1B. Him dismissing it entirely is bad. Yes, there's exploitation, but program is vital. The exploitation is what's
primarily what's going on.
That's what's
in
in question. I mean, that's what's in question. And if we're litigating H-1B visas, especially when you're litigating Elon Musk's and Vivek Ramaswamy's and now Donald Trump's take on H-1B visas, there's no question that's why they want them. That's what I'm saying. Like you want to make a case for increased immigration. You can make a case for increased immigration, but when it comes from the mouths of people who pay employees and who clearly go out of their way to try and figure out ways to pay employees as little as possible, that's clearly where they're coming from. And whatever nuance exists on the issue was completely overlooked by Elon Musk, Vivek Ramaswamy, and Donald Trump when they had an election to win and they ran as border hawks and immigration hawks. Like, it's a complete betrayal of their movement, nuance aside. Like, you know, I'm not an expert on immigration. I'm not an economist. I'm sure you can make cases for, you know, bringing people in certain respects. We do have the Genius visa, the O1 visa. But subtleties aside, it's very clear what their motivation is. And it's even clearer that they ran on the opposite message. They ran on the opposite message and they sold out the base.
Yeah, let me save you guys some time because us former Democrats went through this process. There's a lot of resistance. I think it was Carl Sagan who said something to the effect, it's easier to con people than to convince them that they've been conned. So you go through, so a lot of us went through this whole process with the Democratic Party. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. And then you go back to there are no contradictions. When you think you found a contradiction, check your premises, which apparently is Ayn Rand, not von Clausewitz, as I attributed it for many years. But hey, even a stopped clock, right? If something just doesn't make sense to you, you're missing something. There's something you're missing. And it sounds very obvious now, but it wasn't at the time. They serve their donors. Everything they say about caring about people is nonsense. So I'm going to give you that for MAGA. All they care about is their own wealth and profit. They don't actually care about the people who voted for them. Now, once you apply that lens, everything they do is going to make sense to you. The contradictions will all resolve themselves. These guys, we didn't get around to doing it as a story, maybe Sunday. Vivek and Elon, they're suing the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau that Andreessen got everybody all hopped up about by lying about what it does.
Right.
This has awarded billions of dollars back to the public in suits against the kinds of companies that Vivek and Elon run. And they're trying to claim that they're doing this because they just imposed a rule not allowing them to impose certain overdraft fees and saying how that's going to make it harder for people with bad credit to get credit. In what universe do you think Vivek and Elon Musk give a flying fuck about people with bad credit? In what universe do you think they woke up in the middle of the night and said, you know what? We got to do something about this for the people with bad credit. It's ridiculous. Of course, this is because of how it affects them. Apply that lens to everything they do. Everything they do is going to make a lot more sense than it does if you keep trying to tell yourself, as many Democrats did for many years, they're just playing 4D chess. They're not playing no 4D chess. They don't give a shit about you. They never did.
That's right. Trump found his Rasputin in Elon. Elon is his techno Rasputin, says Eric Rousseau. Thank you.
Good way to put it.
We should outsource Congress to India or China. I bet customer service would greatly improve. Yeah, I think it would. Thank you, Eric Rousseau. Appreciate that. Eric Rousseau also says you both should get ordained online instead of fake degrees so you can preach. There you go. Good idea.
I had an actor friend who got that Rolling Stone online ordination thing.
Oh yeah. Oh,
yeah, it's like Church of the Heart or something. You can get an ordination by like mail.
Oh,
Yeah, you can like legally, you can like perform weddings and stuff.
Huh. I did not know that.
Yeah.
All right, folks. So we are going to move on now to the stuff that broke overnight. So the new year is off to a not so good start. What we know so far about the attack in the French Quarter of New Orleans. So this was a New Year's Eve attack on Bourbon Street in the heart of New Orleans's world famous sort of party district. At least 15 people were killed and dozens more injured in the early hours of New Year's Day after a man drove a pickup truck into crowds in the French Quarter of New Orleans and then opened fire before he was killed in a shootout with the police. Officials called it a deliberate attack and said the man, a 42-year-old U.S. Army veteran from Texas, had the flag of the Islamic State in his truck. That's ISIS, of course. The FBI said it was investigating the episode as a potential act of terrorism. In brief remarks to reporters, at Camp David, President Biden said he had been told by the FBI that the driver had posted videos on social media only hours before the attack, indicating he was inspired by ISIS. So here's one of the last times we'll hear from Biden as President of the United States.
Our hearts are with the people of New Orleans after the despicable attack that occurred in the early morning hours. To all the families of those who are killed, to all those who are injured, to all the people of New Orleans who are grieving today, I want you to know, I grieve with you. Our nation grieves with you.
Gotta
We're going to stand with you as you mourn and as you heal in the weeks to come. I want to thank our brave first responders and law enforcement personnel who stopped the attacker in his tracks before he could kill or injure even more people. I want to thank you to everyone at the Department of Homeland Security, the Department of Justice, including the FBI, working nonstop to investigate this heinous act. The FBI is leading the investigation to determine what happened, why it happened, whether there was any continuing threat to public safety. Here's what we know so far. The FBI has reported to me the killer was an American citizen, born in Texas. He served in the United States Army on active duty for many years. He also served in the Army Reserve until a few years ago. The FBI also reported to me that mere hours before the attack, he posted videos on social media indicating that he was inspired by ISIS, expressing a desire to kill. The ISIS flag was found in his vehicle, which he rented to conduct this attack. Possible explosives were found in the vehicle as well, and more explosives were found nearby. The situation is very fluid, and the investigation has a preliminary stage. And the fact is that right now, there you go. The law enforcement and intelligence community are continuing to look for any connections, associations, or co-conspirators.
Yeah, it's a shame he dropped out. He had that election in the bag.
It would have buried Trump.
Would have buried him.
He had only stayed in.
And he was totally fit for 4 more years, that guy.
Yeah.
Well, that's one thing. That's one thing that one box off on the bingo card that we hadn't checked off yet that now we could check off. Add that to Joe Biden's record. ISIS comes back, right? Remember ISIS? We haven't heard from ISIS in a while, but apparently they are behind this attack, or an ISIS-inspired
behind it or
attack.
Inspired.
Well, it's tough to tell where one begins and the other ends, since they could very well brand this guy, label this guy an ISIS combatant. Like Joe said there, it's a fluid situation. Who knows? This could be obsolete by this afternoon, but we do our best with the breaking news. The man sped a truck around a police car blocking Bourbon Street at about 3:15 a.m. Wednesday morning.
I was going to say, you can't even drive on Bourbon Street.
Yeah, no, it just broke through the barricades. Yeah, that is pedestrian only. He then opened fire, officials said, and died in a shootout with police. 2 of those injured in the attack were police officers, officials said. This man was trying to run over as many people as he possibly could, the New Orleans police superintendent Ann Kirkpatrick said at a news conference Wednesday. He was hell-bent on creating the carnage and the damage that he did. So here is a map showing you the plan of action there. That was the turn around the car there. The truck went onto the sidewalk to get around the police car and then down Bourbon Street, which is, as Russell said, as someone who's been to New Orleans, quite a few times, he knows this area well, that is pedestrian only. So obviously...
Yeah, that's the beginning of Bourbon Street where the truck entered.
Right. So you could obviously do a lot of damage there if people are walking in the streets and you drive your truck straight through, and this was just, like I said, a horrible scene.
That's especially New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
On any given weekend, that street is packed with people from one end to the other. On New Year's Eve, it must be like Mardi Gras.
Yeah, exactly. So just a horrible scene, obviously. Investigators said they found what appeared to be improvised explosive devices in the truck and were trying to determine whether the devices were viable. It is not clear if any such devices were detonated. Alethea Duncan, an FBI official, did not rule out that there could be an ongoing threat, saying that agents were running down leads in an effort to try and make sure that there was no further danger. The man who drove the truck onto Bourbon Street was identified by the FBI as Shamsud Din Bahar Jabbar, a 42-year-old U.S. citizen from Texas. The truck, which officials said carried the flag of the Islamic State, held weapons as well as the improvised explosive devices, and potential bombs were also found elsewhere in the French Quarter, officials said. Mr. Jabbar served almost 8 years in the U.S. Army and deployed to Afghanistan from February 2009 to January 2010, according to an Army representative. He transferred to the Army Reserve after leaving active duty in January 2015, and then left the reserves as a staff sergeant in July 2020, the Army said. In a YouTube video from 2020 that appears to have been posted by Mr. Jabbar, he spoke positively about his skills in a post-military career in real estate. He said he had been born and raised in Beaumont, Texas. I've been here all my life with the exception of traveling for the military, he said. He said that in his 10 years in the armed forces, he had worked as a human resources specialist and an information technology specialist. So that was the first attack. Yesterday, one dead after a Cybertruck explodes outside the Trump Hotel in Las Vegas. And you talk about an image. I mean, that is contender for image of the year already. Yeah. That was going to be the Democrats' campaign logo going into the midterms as a metaphor, but turns out it's not a metaphor. It's not funny. It's an attack, but just, I mean, the image itself there's a certain metaphor to be found, I think. One person was killed and at least 7 were injured after a Tesla Cybertruck exploded outside the Trump International Hotel in Las Vegas on Wednesday morning, the authorities said, and officials were investigating any possible links to an earlier attack on a crowd in New Orleans. Sheriff Kevin McMail of the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department said during a news conference that the authorities believe this to be an isolated incident, but have not yet ruled out a connection to the Wednesday morning attack in New Orleans that killed at least 15 people. More on that in a moment. Sheriff McMail said the authorities had found gas canisters, camp fuel canisters, and large firework mortars in the back of the truck. It was unclear how they had been ignited, Sheriff McMail said. There is no further threat to the community, Sheriff McMail said. As of Wednesday afternoon, there was no indication that the explosion was connected to ISIS, which President Biden said had inspired the New Orleans attack, but the investigation remains ongoing, he said. At a news conference on Wednesday, Jeremy Schwartz, the acting FBI special agent in charge in Las Vegas, said the agency is investigating whether the explosion was, quote, an act of terrorism or not. I know everybody's interested in that word and trying to see if we can say, hey, this is a terrorist attack, Mr. Schwartz said. That is our goal, and that's what we're trying to do. So the reason there was some confusion about this, even though obviously the timing seems hardly coincidental given the attack in New Orleans the night prior, is that apparently there were no fatalities in this explosion except the driver himself. So there was a question, could this have been an accident? Elon was emphatic it was not an accident because he definitely wants you to know that those Cybertrucks do not explode on their own unless they're sabotage. So he was really out in front of this.
Except for the one last week.
Right, yeah. Except for the ones that cut your leg off if you close the door too fast or whatever it is. We did that whole segment on the Jimmy Show.
Was it one of the cars or was it a Cybertruck that went on fire and the people couldn't get out? It was like a couple of weeks
I think
ago.
that was one of the cars, actually.
I think
that was a Tesla. Yeah, I don't think that was that was just one of the car models. But we did have breaking developments overnight. Now, this was put out by ABC 7, their local Denver station. So this is, reported by a, fairly credible outlet. We cannot confirm it yet, but this has been making the rounds because it was reported by a credible outlet here. Suspects in Vegas explosion, New Orleans attack served at same Army base. Sources tell Denver 7 investigate. So assuming this is true, which at this moment we don't have reason to believe it isn't, we can't confirm it and report it as 100% fact, but you have an outlet here saying they have sources saying that they went to the same Army base. That is the plot thickening significantly. That is a link that authorities had been looking for since the second event, obviously at the Trump Hotel in Vegas. So the Colorado Springs resident, so the reason this was reported on in Denver is because the truck was rented from Colorado. So the Colorado Springs resident suspected of detonating a Tesla Cybertruck in front of a Las Vegas hotel, and the Texas man accused of driving a pickup truck into a crowd on Bourbon Street in New Orleans served at the same military base, sources told Denver 7 investigates. Authorities were investigating the link as a possible connection between the two New Year's Day attacks, those sources said. Well, yeah, that seems fairly obvious if this checks out, which they're saying it does. Matthew Livelsberger, who is the driver of the Cybertruck, apparently, is accused of renting a Cybertruck in Colorado Springs, driving it to Nevada, and packing it with firework mortars and gas cans before exploding it in front of the Trump International Hotel in Vegas Wednesday morning, killing himself and injuring 7 others. Shamsuddin Jabbar is suspected of plowing through a crowd in New Year's revelers in the French Quarter hours earlier, killing at least 15 and injuring dozens more in an attack that sent shockwaves through a famous New Year's destination the morning of a scheduled college football playoff game. Both men were confirmed to be Army veterans in the aftermath of the attacks, both of which were being investigated as possible acts of terrorism. Late Wednesday, multiple informed sources told Denver 7 chief investigator Tony Kovaleski of the link between the two suspects' military service. So it comes from multiple sources, not just one, but multiple sources are saying this now. Both men use vehicles rented from the Turo car rental marketplace, which is like an app you could rent, like people basically rent their own private. It's like the Airbnb, but for cars.
Right,
people have cars and they'll rent it out, and they charge you by the mile, whatever. I rented a Turo when I was in LA last. In a statement, a Turo spokesperson said the company did not believe either suspect had a criminal background that would have identified them as a security threat. Jabbar enlisted in the Army in March 2007. We read those biographical details in the last piece. We don't have to go through that again. Authorities do not believe Jabbar, who was killed by officers, acted alone in the truck rampage. Denver 7 is working to learn more about Livelsberger's background. Federal agents were staking out one of multiple Colorado Springs addresses associated with him late Wednesday, awaiting a search warrant. So that is certainly quite chilling if they both came from this same military base. That would suggest something pretty sinister. Candace Owens just tweeted out, I just saw it once we started the countdown. This was literally breaking to the point where I couldn't even put it in the show, in the slide, but I'll read you her tweet. I bookmarked it. She said, the New Orleans terrorist and the guy who blew up the Tesla truck both had served at the same Army base. Given what we know about the history of sadistic government programs in our military, this brings forth more questions than answers. Yeah, I mean, that's a consideration as well, especially since, many in our space have been on this beat for a while, noticing ISIS does not attack Israel. A lot of people think ISIS is somehow shadily connected to our intelligence services, and this happens New Year's Day.
It's pretty weird. You got the resources and the coordination to do 9/11. You never attack Israel.
Right. Yeah.
Very weird.
So it's very strange. I mean, that stinks. And I don't mean stinks like it sucks. I mean, that smells fishy. If they both served at the same Army base, it suggests obviously a coordination between them, given the coincidental timings of the attacks. And yeah, it does raise a lot of questions. Like, I don't know where you go next as a journalist, because looks like there's going to have to be a visit paid to this Army base. Looks like there's going to have to be some research done on this base, and that could be dangerous work.
Excuse me, just one more question. Why does Al Qaeda never attack Israel?
Right. Yeah. Exactly. I mean, that could be dangerous work. Obviously, just a horrible start to the year. There was a shooting in Queens last night. I mean, even if you don't suspect the kind of foul play that, frankly, I do, you're looking at symptoms of social collapse. You're looking at a very, very fractured social fabric here, heading into an administration that inherits Miriam Adelson's wish list for greater Israel expansion, promising crackdowns on dissent. This kind of instability, whatever, like, it's too soon to say definitively what these were, right? I mean, we know they were, I think it's fairly safe to say they were terrorist attacks, right? I mean, that's fairly obvious at this point. In terms of what's not obvious, what we can say is that this kind of instability ahead of an administration that we know is going to try and crack down on dissents, on protests. We're going to get into that in the next segment. It's a recipe for very, very, very difficult and potentially frightening times. This is not 2017. I've said this over and over again. Don't think that because when Trump took office in 2017 and the most newsworthy story of that year was Rachel Maddow losing her shit about Russian collusion. Don't assume it's going to be those kind of fun and games this time. It is not. This is a much more dangerous world. It's a much more fragile world. They are gearing up to really, I think, make this country resemble something it hasn't in a while. And so hang on to your hats. Hang on to your hats. And look, this is this is a difficult segue. But this is why I think we as a left, as an opposition, have to really get serious. Because this kind of environment, this is a recipe for fascism, for just absolute fascism.
Well, of course, the Patriot Act laid the groundwork for fascism. All you got to do is throw the switch. Once you have the legal precedent that you can detain someone without charges indefinitely by calling them a terrorist, well, all bets are off. Right. Over in the years since the Patriot Act was created, the surveillance technology is beyond anything they imagined at that time. Here in New York and in many cities, but particularly in New York, there's a fucking camera everywhere. Everywhere you go, you're on camera. Everywhere you go, you're on camera. And it's like that in a lot of major cities. The way you're being tracked online, all of your activity is being stored someplace, right? Everything you're doing online is being stored someplace. They can grab pretty much anybody if they just decide to do it, if they have the will to do it. I do not understand why anybody would be celebrating Crazy Eyes with the Manson lamps over there. Patel, a guy coming in who's talking about how we're not doing enough for Israel, in combination with an AG nominee who says that she wants the FBI questioning protesters. I don't understand why anyone who cares about speech and civil liberties would think this is a good thing, would be celebrating the nomination of these people. They're telling you very clearly what they're going to do. And yes, things like this, whatever the motive, whatever the reality behind it happening, it is certainly going to function as a pretense for people like Patel, people like Bondi, people like Trump to go ahead and do what they have given every indication they want to do, weaponize the government against dissent.
Absolutely. Yes. Took the words right out of my mouth. I just want people to understand. We're not saying that the people named in these reports are not guilty of doing what, I mean, we are going based on the reporting. We're not saying that. Obviously, a guy drives a truck through a crowd of people. The first guy we know that's confirmed, seems like both of those names are confirmed. And those are, of course, acts of terrorism. So we're not saying that they shouldn't be cracked down upon. What we're saying is that, as Russell just said, and you took I was going to mention those three names, Kash Patel, Pam Bondi, Donald Trump. You don't think this crowd is going to come into office in this kind of environment and use these events as justification to greatly expand executive power? You got rose-tinted eyeglasses on.
Yeah,
you got like this environment.
The man wrote a children's book in which he plays a wizard defending King Donald.
Right.
I'm sorry. What if that was a Democrat? What if that was a Democrat nominee? The MAGA would not stop mocking the person and screaming about how dangerous it is to put someone like that as the head of the FBI. It's okay because it's Trump. Come on.
Yeah. So to have this stuff going on 3 weeks away from this transition, you're really setting the table for some dark shit. It really sets the table for some really dark stuff. And these events themselves are obviously very dark and very troubling. The fact that now we're seeing a resurgence of VISAS after the regime change in Syria is complete, like I said, raises more questions than answers at this point. Now, we don't have anything to go on except our suspicions about that. More information will come out. There's going to be some visits paid to this military base. We're going to have to find out what's going on there. So there will be a lot more to talk about as it pertains to these events as more information comes out. But what we can say pretty confidently now is that this is setting the table for a very, very tumultuous year under an administration that is not going to be shy about using events like this as a pretext to, like I said, just greatly expand executive power at the expense of civil liberties. I don't think there's any real question about that.
Yep.
All right. Let's move on here. We got where is it? Oh, we got some more chats coming in. There we go. Sorry. Beautiful. Sam as I am. That has to be a Do Dissidents t-shirt where end state capitalism meets idiocracy. Yeah, there we go. That's a good one. 2025, where end stage capitalism meets idiocracy. Randy Ray, thanks for the $5 for your next film club. Any chance you would watch the 1976 film Network? Seems appropriate for this current time. I'm sure we'll do that at some point. I don't know if it'll be the next one, but I can't imagine.
Yeah, I mean, it's just that one is one, it's long, and two, it's kind of obvious. Like we're trying to do stuff that maybe people haven't seen,
right?
Or that even if they have,
never looked at it in this way.
And people haven't really had about it, like we did with Miracle on 34th Street,
right?
Like Network, it's like that's a gimme,
right?
What is there to even say about it?
Yes, it's a little on the nose, as they say. Let's see here. Nateem, thanks for the $6.66. Appreciate that. Try saying Zionist-led ISIS terrorist attack from now on. Well, yeah, we're gonna talk about that more as this information comes out too. I have a feeling. Funbad, thanks for the $2. Any predictions for Kamala Harris in 2025? No, I think she's gonna be pretty quiet. She's talking about running. She ain't running.
Yeah,
again,
she's talking about running for governor.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. She's talking about running for governor. Yeah. I think she'd have a hard time winning, honestly.
I think she would have a pretty hard time because you know what? I saw a few people after she lost try to pretend that she was some kind of Harriet Tubman kind of figure, but they weren't. Even the diehards were not able to maintain that fiction for very long, and they just shut up about her.
Right.
Like even the Libius lib does not really want to litigate the case of Kamala Harris.
No, they want to put this whole thing in the rearview mirror. They never
they
want to talk
they
about
really
the election
do.
ever
They really
again.
do.
Yeah. Yeah, they are
when
eager
things
to move
came
on.
out about the spending and like it's I don't think they want any part of her really.
No, they are eager to move on. That is for sure. Sparky says, good news, car companies and suppliers are, or Snork Y2K, sorry. Good news, car companies and suppliers are doing it too. Thank you, Snork Y2K. Ellen Jimerson, do y'all have a thought on why the H1B visa is being talked about while the H2 is not? Right now, I mean. So the H2 is the agricultural worker visa, as I understand. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that that's the agricultural worker. And that is a good question. I think maybe it's that agricultural workers, they can't,
they can't plausibly say Americans would do it.
Right. Well, they also can't pretend that, those are elite jobs. Right. At the rank, at the entry level, right? Like an entry level agricultural job, they can't say, well, we just don't have anyone smart enough to do that, right? We have to bring people in. So I think that's a kind of a different conversation. I think that's probably why. Thank you, Ellen. Appreciate that. Okay. Let's see here. Looking forward to W handing Michelle a piece of Gaza jerky at Carter's funeral. Yeah. When is Carter's funeral? It must be this weekend, no?
Is it?
I'd imagine. Okay. Michael Castillo says, I must be careful with what I say. I think the driver is a pissed off Trump supporter who replaced his Trump Vance flag with an ISIS flag, took his pickup truck and did what he did. I think his focus was misplaced. Debs Mo, thanks for the $10. Great job. All the best in 2025. Thank you, Debs Mo. Appreciate that very, very much. Okay, alrighty, let's move on here. What do we got next? Okay, so this is sort of a spin-off segment to the previous one. So obviously we had the horrible terror attacks in both New Orleans and Las Vegas. Now, unrelated to those, yesterday was New Year's Day, and so the People's Forum had a pro-Palestine protest march planned for New Year's Day. The idea, we're going to not forget about Gaza in 2025. We're going to be out on the first day of the year protesting for an end to the genocide happening now. Hundreds of New Yorkers have taken the streets to demand an end to the genocide in Palestine. The struggle for liberation continues even stronger in 2025. Makes perfect sense. They would have a New Year's Day protest to symbolically show that this is going to be in our hearts and minds for the next year. We did not forget about Gaza in 2024. But the Party for Socialism and Liberation also tweeted out the march. They are sort of partnered organizations there. On New Year's Day, protesters take to the streets of Manhattan to demand an end to the U.S.-Israeli genocide on Gaza. The struggle for a free Palestine continues into 2025. Well, End Wokeness, said New York City, actually we should call him Fed Wokeness for now. I like that name. New York City, just a few hours after a jihadist killed 15 in New Orleans. So this was a big thing. The New York Post made a big thing. They're out protesting Israel just hours after this attack. They made it sound like they came out into the streets to gloat about the attack, which is, of course, ridiculous.
Yeah. It takes a lot of planning to do this kind of march.
Well, here, just right away, we could not, 3 minutes of research, you could knock this down. New York City.
They don't care.
No, they don't care. No, just a backhanded smear. New York City, all out for Palestine, Wednesday, January 1st, 3 p.m., Times Square, 43rd Street and Broadway. You notice I highlighted some text in the lower right-hand corner of this image, which says this was posted 3 days ago. So it's 3 days ago as of last night, which would have meant that was posted on, the 29th of December, which is 2 days before the attack in New Orleans. So it was not organized last minute to gloat about the New Orleans attack.
Of course not.
If you knew a goddamn thing about anything, you would know that pro-Palestine activists are deeply suspicious that ISIS is a covert attack dog for Israel. Like, that is a widely held suspicion. So the idea that pro-Palestine people are somehow sympathetic to that's absurd. It's the complete opposite. Pro-Palestine people are probably more against ISIS than anyone. But of course, N-wokeness doesn't know that. N-wokeness knows they like Muslims, ISIS, Muslim, woke, bad, woke, bad.
They don't care though. They don't care. Like they might know. They don't care. It's not about that. It's all about throwing out a narrative, and in the end, and this is what's funny about people perceiving sites like End Wokeness as fighting the establishment. They're all deep state tools. It's just like the edgier outer limits of the IDW. It's all the same bullshit. They just use this culture war nonsense, which again is nothing new. This is nothing new. Jesus Christ, HBO had a whole series, Homeland, built around ginning up these kinds of false equivalencies. This is nothing new. It's for the people who want the illusion that you're fighting the state by siding with it, that these sites exist.
Exactly. And now let's hear from some of the MAGA faithful. Nick Sorter, fairly high-profile MAGA handle. I can't wait until they try this shit when Trump's back in office. They'll make roundups and mass deportations very easy.
Don't call us fascist. We're not fascists.
Right, we're not fascists.
We're not fascists at all.
No,
we want political dissidents rounded up and deported. What fascism?
what fascism? We need mass deportation soon. Hopefully Trump follows through on his promises, says Wall Street Mave. Jesus Man says deport every last one of them. I don't care what their status is. Oh, that's nice. Okay, so even the citizens,
send the Americans.
So
ship
even
out
the Americans should be deported.
Yeah, no. You're being smeared as fascists.
It's a very friendly
it's a
lot.
Terrible
here.
Smear.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Juanita Broderick. Juanita Broderick. What are the? She was one of the people who red pilled me. But wrong about this. This is no coincidence. Who is behind them? No, it actually. Go ahead.
This is what happens with these people. They get treated so badly and personally attacked by the liberal class, and who supports them. Oh, the conservatives. Oh, Slick Willie stuck his Slick Willie in you. Come right in. We want to hear your story. And gradually they take on their causes. They take on their attitudes, because not only are these your patrons, these are your protectors against the liberals who not only covered up your horrible sexual assault at the hands of one of their brightest stars, but try to completely destroy your life in the process. Yeah, so then that whole crowd says, no, we believe you. Eventually start taking on causes that have nothing to do with that original cause. That's exactly what happened with Riley Gaines. Now you got Riley Gaines running around about immigration.
Yeah, about the border.
They fucking a guy swam against you. What the fuck do you have to say about immigration? What does that have to do with immigration?
Yeah, so Juanita Broderick says, this is no coincidence. Who's behind them? Well, it's no coincidence that they had a protest plan for New Year's Day, because New Year's Day is a special occasion that a lot of people have off, and there's a symbolism in going out on New Year's Day to protest against genocide. What is a coincidence is that an attack happened between when they planned the rally and when the rally happened.
Right.
They certainly weren't going to cancel the protest. They weren't going to say, oh, I guess we don't care about genocide anymore that this happened. Who is behind them? She says, Harold M.F. Peck. Why are they allowed to take over Manhattan? It's called a march that you get a permit for. It's not taking over Manhattan. It's called demonstrating. It's called exercising a First Amendment right.
These people are so stupid.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, man. Like that. I'm not saying everybody aligned with Trump. But come on, man. Some of y'all, you want to talk about liberals are stupid? Come on, man. Like, that's not stupid. That's not stupid. Why are they allowed to take over Manhattan? There's 8 million fucking people here. Take over Manhattan.
It's a march. They get a permit for a march. You ever heard of a parade? You never heard of a march? Arrest for impeding traffic or some such. Deport any non-citizens immediately, says Joe Sanders. who applied for the permit and who issued the permit. Donald Trump will have a new FBI, and that new FBI may want to know who did the do. No, these are not the new brown shirts at all. No.
This is which again, why you a bitch for Israel, man? I thought you people are America first.
Right. Exactly.
America first. Why are you doing the bidding of Israel?
Well, these are the rank and file people who bought, you see, and wokeness may know the subtleties that there's no way pro-Palestine protesters would not condemn ISIS. Obviously, every single pro-Palestine person I know probably hates ISIS more than the average person because they think of them as doing Israel's bidding, right?
Right.
So,
just like leftists hate Democrats more than most Republicans do.
Right. Exactly. So, and wokeness may know that, may not know that. But certainly the chuds who follow him mostly don't know that, and you just see the fucking stupidity. Not just ignorance of that dynamic, ignorance of, like, the basic Bill of Rights. Like, why are they allowed to take over the street? Who issued the permit? The FBI. See, we got Kash Patel. See, so once again, we talk about Kash Patel. The guy's saying, the new FBI, Donald Trump's FBI, Kash Patel, says we have to wake up and prioritize Israel more. So maybe he'll get to the bottom of who issued a permit for a pro-Palestine protest on New Year's Day. Yeah. Dove Hykins, whatever that is. I get it. You need to have your rallies. I have my opinions, but free country. Okay, here's a moderate, right? Knock yourselves out. But what about some common decency? The day of the terror attack, clearly you don't consider the innocent people that lost their life today your fellow Americans. If you did, you'd have the sensitivity to take a night off. If that's the case and you don't feel those were your fellow Americans, I say, get the hell out. Again, just a completely
he took the long way around. Yeah.
Right. I just, again, a completely asinine take. The two have nothing to do with each other. This was not done in response.
It's not related.
It's not related. If anything, like I said, the pro-Palestine people are more bothered by this because they see this as a pretext for the expansion of greater Israel. The more instability at the hands of Islamic terrorists, the more Israel gets to make their case that we have to back them.
It's a clash of civilizations.
Right. It's the clash of civilizations. Exactly. So un-American and vile. Hashtag NYC. Hashtag New Orleans attack.
Last I heard, protesting is the most American. I thought isn't that what you guys all come out and talk about every Veterans Day? How they fought to preserve our freedom and our rights.
Thomas Jefferson said dissent is the highest form of patriotism. Thomas Jefferson. You liked him. He was a conservative. He'd have been MAGA if you were around today.
Yeah.
Jefferson. Look at their timing, motherfuckers. Again, just so asinine. Just unbelievably asinine. It starts out with a backhanded smear that could, like I said, you could debunk that smear. It took me 3 minutes to find, literally 3 minutes, to find this that was posted a few days ago. Well before the attacks happened. It's obvious they had nothing to do with each other. Like I said, if you know the first thing about Israel-Palestine as it pertains to ISIS, you know that pro-Palestine people would be the last people to gloat over an ISIS attack. It would make no sense. Like, it would literally, you'd have to be the dumbest person in the world to be both pro-Palestine and to celebrate an ISIS attack. But no, that does not stop this hack from smearing them in that way. And then forget it, a chud pile on, where you just see not only just complete ignorance on display, but a true contempt for the very constitutional system that they claim is so important to them. Who gave them a permit? Let's investigate who gave them the permit. Why are they allowed to take over the city? It's a march. It's a march. It's just incredible.
It's all mind control, man. You know, we talk about which people on our side of things, on our general side of things, are an op, who's getting paid, who's taking some of that CIA money. A lot of these people are taking that money. That's what that's for. What does end wokeness do? That's their purpose. Their purpose is to take people who don't really know very much and play on their resentments, some legitimate, some not. And at moments like this, You've gained their trust by empathizing with their grievances or giving them the perception that you do. And then they steer them into a deep state agenda under the premise that somehow this is the people claiming their power, when really you're just doing the will of the deep state. That's it. It's all one big fucking op, and you're just living in it.
That's right. Well said. Good point, Charles. All right, let's go on to some Rumble rants here. Happy 2025 to you all. Watched the New Year's Eve show in Times Square. Wondering if, being New Yorkers yourself, have you ever attended in your experience? Also, they banned umbrellas at the event. What the fuck? Oh, so you watched our show in Times Square for New Year's Eve? That's fun.
They banned umbrellas. All right, so that is a thing that New Yorkers don't do.
I've never done it.
Because that's a nightmare. It's 500,000 people crammed into a few blocks. You've got to get there like 12 hours ahead of time. It's almost always, not this year, it's almost always brutally cold for some reason. It's always like a 15 to 20 degree day, which is not seasonable for New York. For some reason, that particular day I've noticed is always brutal. But even normally, like you want to stand out there for 12 hours and 35 degrees, which would be about normal for this time of year. No bathrooms, which
right.
I guess
You can't take a piss.
You can't take a piss. I guess it's good that you're not allowed to drink outside given that, because they fence everything. Once you're in there, it would take you about an hour to work your way back out to an exit in the fence. So you're really stuck there. If you're claustrophobic, forget about it. So we don't do it. The only way a New Yorker would do it is you have certain restaurants that have a view of it that charge money for tickets. So then you don't have to be in there with the pores.
Right.
They might do it, but otherwise, the only people I've ever known in my entire life, literally, who did that were my grandparents, and back then, presumably, it was fun. And my grandmother lost her shoes in the crowd. But back then, the society wasn't so rule crazy. You wouldn't have had fences. You would have been able to drink. It wouldn't have been like what it is today.
Yeah, not only have I never done it, I would not even ride the subway through Times Square on New Year's Eve. When my cousin lived in New York for a while, he and my other cousin actually were going out bar hopping New Year's Eve in Harlem, and they asked if I wanted to come. We were living in Brooklyn at the time, and we said, no, we're not riding a subway past Times Square. It's just going to be a nightmare. I said, if you were going downtown somewhere, we'd go, but we'd have to go from Lower Manhattan up through, and fuck that, we're not going. So he ended up meeting a woman that night who ended up becoming his wife. And so I always said, if we had come, well, they've separated since, so it wasn't as the fairy tale ending didn't quite stick.
So he should have gone.
So I should have gone. I always told him it's a good thing I didn't go, because if we had gone, your paths would not have crossed. Everything would have been different. Mm-hmm. You know, we'd have been staying at one bar for this long, and
in a parallel universe, that's what happened.
That's what happened in a parallel universe. And so I always said, you should be grateful that I didn't join you that night. But now I kind of feel like maybe I should have.
Needless to say, that was a very big night for horse and carriage drivers. So at the beginning of the night, you would be doing ride after ride in Central Park. And then around 1, you would go down to Times Square to ride the drunks around.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Fleur-de-Lis is associated with Osiris, and we supposedly have ISIS attacking New Orleans. They do love their esoteric symbolism. Thank you, Hillary Hinton. We need to ban army bases until we figure out what's going on. That's right. That's right. We have to figure out what the hell is going on at these army bases. That's a good point. All right, folks. Hey, it's a morning show. For our last morning show, we got to remind you, what do you do in the morning? You drink coffee. So do you enjoy the free speech that Rumble is protecting and fighting for? Our show on Rumble is only possible thanks to our viewers supporting Rumble's platform by purchasing some of Rumble's fine products. Most of you drink coffee every day, and that's why you got to try Rumble's $17.75 coffee. Some of the best coffee out there, and it's the same price as what you buy in the supermarket, but it's way better. Rumble's $17.75 coffee is free from chemicals yet rich in flavor. This is because their beans are sourced from high-altitude farms in Bolivia, hand-picked, roasted weekly at their facility in Miami and delivered fresh to your doorstep. And as believers in freedom, buying from Rumble helps fight back against censorious corporations like Starbucks and Dunkin' Donuts. So join the coffee revolution and brew rebellion with Rumble's 1775 coffee. Go to 1775coffee.com, use coupon code STUDIO, and get a free month's supply of their cognitive boosting supplement, Limitless, when you get 2 bags of their coffee. So that's 2 16-ounce bags of coffee, plus the supplement. That's a crazy deal. The supplement's worth more than the coffee itself, so go to 1775coffee.com and try some today. All right, beautiful. All right, well, let me adjust my mic.
In the can.
Nailed it again. All righty, let's do some more super chats here. Hold on one second. What I got here? Beautiful. Okay, now I'm all set. Fun Bad, thanks for the $2. Jimmy Dore likes Kash Patel, accept his Israel take. Yeah, we've talked to Jimmy about this. And, you know, one thing I've always said about the Israel thing is even when you look back at like RFK, and a lot of people loved RFK except for Israel, and some of the people who, you know, stayed on to, and, you know, campaigned for him said, well, you know, it's bad, but it's just one issue. And this is what I tried to instill in people. Israel's not just one issue. Israel has its tentacles in all issues. It becomes a civil liberties issue. It's not just the foreign policy
civil liberties issue. It's a military-industrial complex issue. It's a Pentagon funding issue.
It's an economic issue. Look at all these companies. Look at all these colleges that invest in Israel. That's what a lot of the student protests were about. So, like, saying, oh, they're good except for this one issue. No, Israel's not just one issue. Israel is a metaphor for the corruption and really corporate capture of the entire system. So that's what I would say to that.
And if that guy's not a fruitcake, I want to know what you would call a fruitcake. Yeah. That's not a fruitcake. What's a fruitcake? The guy literally has the Manson lamps going.
Yeah, he is. Looks like quite the nut job. Ken Texican, thanks for the $50. Let's have a cowbell for Ken Texican.
Thank you, man.
Ken Texican over on YouTube today. Ken Texican's usually a Rumble ranter, not a YouTuber. I've discovered over the course of time, truth tellers seem to strike terror in the hearts of some permanent security state. Do dissident TTS. Okay, well, I'm not going to read the last part of that. Yeah, no, I will assure you we are in fact not. Half Dahlia, thanks for the €5. I wish you would mention Bassan from Gaza or the graphic designer who was killed from an Israeli strike in your Heroes of 2024 segment. Yeah, we Bassan. What was that? Did we do a segment on that? I don't remember. We forgot about Gonzalo Lira. You know, you overlook certain things. We forgot about the McDonald's. We meant to add that, the McDonald's for best propaganda. I ended up forgetting to add that to the slideshow. Yeah, it's
this is why one of our goals for this year is to hire someone. In addition to Jake. Jake is a very, very, very part-time hire. We need to really hire somebody who can make sure things like, so that when we think of things like that, we tell them to make sure it happens.
Right, exactly. Jake does a great job, but Jake has a real career. We need people with no career and no prospects.
We're
no
looking
future.
for someone with no life.
We're looking for
preferably
someone with no
not
hope.
on an H1B visa.
Yeah. Looking for people.
That would be bad for our brand.
Yes. Do you have a fairly decent memory and have nothing going on in your life? Come work for the Do Dissidents podcast. That's our interview process. That's our screening process. Okay.
Do you live in an SRO?
Yeah.
Got nothing to do all day but stare at the walls and think about the choices that led you here? Do we have a job for you?
That's right. Hey, it's we got 2,061 viewers in the YouTube channel. Smash that like button, everybody. Smash that subscribe button over on YouTube.
How we doing on likes?
We are at 644. All right, so we're almost at 666 likes. We'll get 22 likes right now that I mentioned it. 22 likes away from a 666 sound drop over there. 645. Let's see. Do we hear 646? Can we get some more? Let's get some more. Okay. Michael Castillo says, I just found something. Krispy Kreme owners are staunch Zionists that support Israel. Never again to Krispy Kreme. Yeah, that list is going to get pretty long. This is what I mean. You know, you can say...
I don't fuck with Krispy Kreme anyway, man.
Yeah, I don't really eat donuts. Donuts are pretty lousy for you, as I understand.
It is. You know what? It's hard to find good donuts anymore. Krispy Kremes, I don't like them, honestly. It's like it's too much. It's just too much. It's like a sugar bomb. You know, it's just too much.
Right.
Dunkin' Donuts, they changed the recipe way back, and they're just not the same anymore. The only places you can get a decent donut is every now and then you'll still find a mom and pop luncheonette kind of place.
Right.
That might have like a real, like, fluffy, proper donut.
Yep. In Los Angeles, they have a lot of donut shops, oddly enough.
They do.
That's like a thing
they
out
do.
there.
They're very, LA is just a very weird place in many ways. I would say LA is really American culture exploded and just left its viscera everywhere.
761. Beautiful. All right, folks. So this is a bit of a lighter segment, but this is one that I found and I pitched to Russell, and our friend Eric, who calls into the Q&As and pitches us ideas on how to better orient society. He'll love this one because this made me think of him, because this story gave me an idea. So we'll talk about my idea once we get versed in what's going on. So go ahead, take it away.
So this is the feel-good story of 2025 already.
Exactly, yeah.
And we're going to first give you the feel-good part, and then we're going to end it with a threat.
Right.
Like we do. Kristen Bell, who seems honestly like a lovely person. I really enjoyed The Good Place. Did you watch that, Keaton? I like that show.
No, but my wife loves Veronica Mars. That was a good show for what it was. Veronica Mars was a fun show.
It's the only thing with her I've ever seen, but I did like it, and I thought she was good in it. So Kristen Bell is sharing one health-related GoFundMe every day to help a family in need, and this is because an Instagram star, Quentin Quarantino, approached her. Kristen Bell is extending the giving season. On Monday, December 30th, the actress, 44, revealed in an Instagram post that she's collaborating with internet star Tommy Marcus, better known as Quentin Quarantino, to promote one health-related GoFundMe page per day. YouTuber Dr. Mike is also participating. Something needs to be done, and this is my something, Bell tells people in an exclusive statement. The duo urged their combined almost 17 million followers to read every slide as they shared several screenshots from their DM conversation discussing how to raise money for people in financial need. So that was their request. That's what we're going to do. Please read every slide. Edit. We did it in 20 minutes. There's Quentin Quarantino. To everyone in this community and Kristen's, I truly believe this has the chance to be some of the most important and impactful work we've ever done. The more you can donate, share, like, comment, do anything you can to make this into a movement, the better chance it has to become a huge thing. Have other generous, high-profile people like Kristen get involved, and overall be a movement that we create to save and change so many lives. I know there is a sad element to this, but this is the system we are working with, and there are so many people who need help. Neither Kristen, me, or you reading this can immediately make change happen on a policy level, but what we can do is change the futures of many families starting now. Link in bio. Let's do it. So this is his initial contact with her. I had this idea to harness this public energy around the broken healthcare system by sharing one health-related GoFundMe every day for a week and changing the life of one family per day. I get so many tragic health insurance-related GoFundMe sent to me per week. Was wondering if you'd be interested in joining along starting tomorrow. Literally zero pressure if any part of that is uncomfortable for you. See, that's the change we want to make. But we'll get to that. As you know, my followers are already super generous. but could be a big extra boost if they see us collabing because, you know, you're you, ha. Hope you're well, Kristen. So apparently she had shared posts of his in the past, so this wasn't completely out of left field. So she responds, love it, absolutely, leaves him a voice note. To the people new to my page, the QQ audience has fulfilled 3 medical fundraisers this week, in addition to $30 million of crowdfunding over the years. See, I mean, you know, that's cool. That's cool. That's direct mutual aid right there.
Exactly.
The third fundraiser I had posted was stalling, and then this happened. And here's another one from Kristen Bell. Tommy, I saw this still needed 4,300 to reach the goal, and I read the story, and it nearly brought me to tears. I just gave the remaining amount it needed. We need to do more things like this. The world needs it, and please send Marisol my love and good wishes. And this is, again, Quentin Quarantino. Well, everyone, I knew this was going to explode, but I truly did not think it was going to happen this fast. In just 20 minutes, with the help of Kristen Bell and all of you, we raised the $50,000 that the Palacios family needed to assist with their 3rd-grade daughter Mia's battle with leukemia. And so here you see, at the time that he posted this, they had raised $53,056 with Kristen Bell's help. So let's change the life of another family now. The hope here is that the combined generosity of you all, along with Kristen, can inspire a ripple effect to fulfill many more GoFundMes, get more celebrities involved, etc. I was expecting to not post another fundraiser until tomorrow, but due to the virality of this and the love and enthusiasm you are showing to this idea, I think the best time is now. As Kristen Bell, this was amazing, but I want to do more. How can I give $100,000 to people who need it for medical bills? I want to make sure we do it in the best way. How do we do it? And he responds, how about this? Every fundraiser I post, once it hits half the goal, you close it out with the second half until we reach 100K spent on your end. For example, the next one needs around 50K raised. So once it hits 25K from followers, you donate 25K and we move on to the next one. And she responds, yes, Tommy, let's do it.
See, that's it. That's it. How about you give some of the money directly to the people? And good on Kristen Bell for saying, yeah, totally. Yeah.
Yep. So he says, I know it sucks that we have to do this. We should not have to raise and give money in order for Americans to receive life-saving medical treatment. But sadly, this is the reality. And that's good that he brings that up. We can't because we don't want to give the impression this is normal. Or we don't want to normalize this. But at the same time, he's right. So should we not help people on principle? We can't let people do this on their own when so many of us can help. Until we can change the system, this is the reality. And we can be the helpers. And luckily, we also have so many people like Kristen and all of you who are willing to lend their hand in such an incredibly generous way. So back to the People article. That was the whole thread. They asked that it all be read, so we did. Marcus tells People exclusively that he didn't expect the amount of support he received from Bell. Quote, I first reached out to Kristen with the meager hope she might share one of my fundraising posts, like she frequently does, he explains. I never imagined she'd respond with a $100,000 pledge to help me and the QQ community achieve change, that she'd respond not with a quick answer, but a real question. How can we use this money to do good? Marcus, who has raised more than $30 million for charity, says many people have the same question. Quote, I think that's a question on a lot of people's minds. Certainly it is for my audience, who have proven themselves again and again to be the most charitable community in social media history, he shares. As individuals, it's easy to feel overwhelmed, but together there's power in that. So that's a beautiful thing he's doing. That's amazing. The influencer adds, I'm excited to have the opportunity to combine sizable individual donations with the grassroots funding my community is known for, and confident our momentum will continue to grow, protect the vulnerable, and return to everyday Americans a sense of agency and hope. So we want to help him. This is very much, we want to be the Malcolm X to his MLK. He can take the soft approach, and we're going to help him to generate the threat that he's so hesitant to offer. So this is really promising. And as he himself acknowledges, it's no substitute for reforming the system. But from a movement like this, you can develop a movement to reform the system. In the meantime, this idea of shaming particularly celebrities who, unlike people like, say, Elon, where his money technically is not really dependent on his popularity or public approval. It's rooted in it is to some extent, but not the way it is for a celebrity, where their entire existence as a celebrity is dependent on public approval. So there have been little efforts of people in this direction. You might remember after Oprah and The Rock did their whole plea for money in Maui, they were shocked to get an enormous amount of backlash. Like, why don't you rich motherfuckers pay for it? Why are you asking people for money, man? You guys got over $3 billion between you. According to this article, $3.6 billion between The Rock and Oprah. Now, as you might expect, if you've observed both of them, Johnson did a, hey, I get it, and Oprah screamed at the peasants.
Right.
And claimed to be a victim of conspiracy theories. This woman whose job in Hollywood seems to be to rub cover for sex criminals, claimed to be the target of vitriol. But more to the point of this effort, you might remember the model who I feel like she kind of got caught up in something that she wasn't responsible for. She just got hired for a job. But outside the Met, they very on the nose, some genius publicist decided to have her say, let them eat cake in the middle of Fifth Avenue. And this started a TikTok boycott of her, which also played into an effort in 2024, hashtag blockout 2024, which was mostly aimed at celebrities who refused to take a stand on Palestine. Now, part of the problem with this, if you look at this list here, it did have some effect. Like Taylor Swift lost 300,000 followers on Instagram as a result of being called out by this movement. But look at this. Justin Bieber, Beyonce, Taylor Swift, it's just Bruno Mars, Kardashians, Nicki Minaj. It's too much. The BDS people will tell you it's more effective to focus on one or two and destroy them as a warning to the others than to try to focus people on a multitude of different companies. So what we need to do, and this was Keaton's idea, he'll talk about it more, is we need to have celebrities living in terror. And don't try to do 10 celebrities at once. Call out a particular celebrity and say, why aren't you doing what Kristen Bell did? And you know what? If you don't do it, we're going to boycott all of your movies, all your products, all your social media. Right. We're going to destroy your entire career as a warning to the others.
Right. So I'm not talking about getting in people's face or, harassing anybody. I'm just talking about, like, look, if you're a celebrity, like Kristen Bell is, you get paid unbelievable amounts of money to do movies and TV shows. And the source of your wealth is public adoration, right? I mean, that's why Will Smith gets paid $50 million a movie, because people love to go watch Will Smith movies, right? So, like, if you're living like an absolute king or queen because the public loves you, then I think we should demand that you earn that adoration by giving back. Like, celebrities should be expected to give back. You should have to do crowdfunding fundraisers where, in this situation, okay, we're going to get to 100K and you're going to complete the fundraisers until you spend $100,000. This should just be normalized. Like, we should expect celebrities to do this. And like I said, I'm not saying go and get in someone's face if they don't do it. I'm just saying, like, if you want to keep succeeding and keep earning boatloads of money to basically win our hearts, then you should actually have to, like, win our hearts. It doesn't have to be a political cause necessarily if you're not a political person, but a healthcare GoFundMe, something to get money directly to people, like a sort of unofficial citizens tax on beloved public figures. If you want to remain a beloved public figure in this new Gilded Age, then there should be an expectation that you earn that continuously by giving back constantly. You'll still have enough money to live like royalty. Kristen Bell is not hurt at all by having to, spend $100,000 on these GoFundMe. So why not demand that they do it? Like, it doesn't make any sense not to. Like, they should just have to, maintain a certain level of civic responsibility in order to remain beloved figures. That's all.
And to that end, when we guest host Jimmy Dore, we'll call out our first celebrity donor.
Right. Exactly. Like that makes perfect sense to me. I think that's a totally workable idea. Like, if the culture's going to change.
I love it. I think that as long as it gets platformed by big enough accounts, that can really have an impact. And is that as good as systemic change? No, which Quentin there rightly points out and acknowledges. But hey, man, it made a difference for those families, right?
Right, exactly.
You're helping somebody, that's mutual aid.
Okay, so the highest paid actor of 2024 was actually Dwayne Johnson. All right, so we already used that example. So let's go down the list. Tom Cruise, $45 million.
I mean, do we want that crazy Scientology bastard involved in anything?
All right, whatever. Let's pick someone everybody loves, all right? Jennifer Aniston. Who doesn't love Jennifer Aniston, right?
Is she making that kind of money these days?
That's just a Google search I did off the top of my head. Whatever. Let's just say Jennifer Aniston were, assuming this is true, this is sourced from Geeks for Geeks, all right? So anyway, the person.
She's not really working anymore, though. You want somebody who's working so you can take something away from them.
You're getting hung up on a hypothetical detail. Let's figure Jennifer Aniston, who everybody loves, got paid $40 million in acting jobs and or royalties, whatever.
So you're just being theoretical. You're not actually picking her.
I mean, it says here she made $42 million. I'm assuming she makes bank off the Friends royalties too. Maybe it counts for that. Okay?
There you go. Okay.
All right. Anyway, Jennifer Aniston, $42 million. You made $42 million last year. We should pressure, non-violently. I'm not saying go to her house and pick it. I'm just saying you should be publicly nudged, if you will, into giving $500,000 of that $42 million that you earned toward things like healthcare GoFundMes or food banks or whatever. Like, you should be pressured into just giving that directly to people, not to some nonprofit where 90% of your donation goes to pay the salaries of the Marvins who work in the office. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about direct mutual aid into the pockets directly of people who need it. Yeah, I mean, what? That doesn't hurt her at all. $500,000? That's a citizen's tax. You want to be a beloved public figure. This is an informal citizen's tax where you chip into the pot to remain a beloved figure, and then we all keep watching Friends, and we nobody gets hurt in this. This is all good for everybody. It's just we're asking a little bit of a tax for being a beloved celebrity who gets to live like royalty for having been on a sitcom. That's totally reasonable, and it's workable, and it's something that does not involve, as was mentioned in that thread there, like, you don't have to get enough congressmen to vote for some bill to get people the help they need. You just nudge beloved public figures into doing it themselves. They can afford it 100 times over, 1,000 times over.
Hey, nice Instagram account you got there. Be a shame if something happened to it.
Be a shame if it got ratioed. You know, that's all. That's all. There's nothing wrong with that. I think that's a very workable and practical idea. I want to hear what Eric thinks of that idea.
I was going to say, on Sunday,
call in, Eric, and tell us what you think of that idea.
I think we'll have made Eric very happy this week.
Yes, I think that's a success. Glad to make Eric happy. Yeah, I mean, that's winning, is it not? It's a winning idea.
Yep.
All right. Half Dahlia. Sorry, got that one already. Sorry about that. Here we go. Ken Texican says, Rumble for the last week or so has had major tech issues that does not allow my system to sign in. Big time bummer. Oh, okay. That explains why you're on YouTube. Thank you, Ken Texican. Ava Session 7 says, Southern Made Donuts in Louisiana, Shipley Donuts in Texas. All right. I know in New York, Dough is the big one. That's the Brooklyn Donut Shop. I think they're in Bed-Stuy, and they have like different locations now. But those are big donuts. Those are pretty good. Yasim Miller, thanks for the $5. Happy New Year. Israel is not one issue. Israel is the issue, the nexus of issues. Indeed. And Yasim, as you may have recalled, we did not, in fact, wrap the show by 5 o'clock on Tuesday. The show ran late, and the post office was not open by the time I could make it there. And then yesterday was obviously New Year's, so it was not open at all. But I'm going to go to the P.O. box immediately following this program, so I will pick up those books, and we will show them to the audience on Sunday's show. Tuesday's show ran a bit long for that. But thank you once again for those. Playing devil's advocate, is Boeing the only company hiring Indians? I can't imagine that's the case. The Indians at my company are competent and hardworking. Maybe Boeing finds the work. No, it's not about them being Indians. It has nothing to do with being Indians. It's about them working for $9 an hour.
Yeah, there were other posts I didn't get into that pointed out companies like Intel that are doing the same thing.
Yeah. And it doesn't matter where they're from. That's not the point. The point is they hire people who are willing to work for less than $10 an hour to engineer planes. You're not going to get good planes.
Right.
Yeah.
Hire a college kid who's going to take $9 an hour to design planes. See how that goes.
Right. Exactly. That's what means something. Yeah. John in Minnesota. Trump, we give you guys Syria, and this is the thanks we get. Yes. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Thanks we get. It's very unfair. Very unfair. Eric Rousseau, a class critique of Animal House. These PMCs on double secret probation. There you go.
That would be pretty funny.
It would be. It would be. Thank you, John. Appreciate that. Okay. Brad Gilbert, celebrity ban of the month. Snobbiest gets booed. Yeah, there we go. Maybe we could pick a celebrity of the month to ratio online. Unless they do some good, we hope it all works out.
Do some good.
Yeah. It's totally. This is the thing. It's a no-brainer for them. It's a no-brainer for them. Someone of Jennifer Aniston's wealth could contribute $500,000 to medical GoFundMe and not know it was gone. So why shouldn't they be nudged to do that?
Right.
Because it's not like you're asking a business person to do it. Like Kevin O'Leary doesn't really give a shit whether he's liked or not.
That's what I'm saying. Right. His wealth does not depend on public approval.
Right. If you're a celebrity, your wealth depends on the goodwill of the people.
All depends on it. And also remember, for them, even if they've been smart, even if they've made investments such that they're set for life, their ego is such that without that public adoration, they don't know how they would live.
Right, exactly.
That is almost more important to them than the money.
Right. So just kick in some money that wouldn't make any difference to you, but would make all the difference to someone who needs it. Pitch that in, and then you keep on living your life. You don't feel it. You don't feel the loss. You change the lives of people who desperately need it. It's a win-win for everybody. I think I've solved, we shouldn't even do a politics show anymore. I think I've solved all of society's problems. I think we could probably solve most problems just by nudging actors to give money to people who need it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That should be the focus of the show for me.
Yeah. We just do a celebrity gossip show disguised as a politics show.
That's it.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
And this is why Oprah needs to give away $500 million.
Hey, I hear those Joker 2 reviews are pretty brutal. So, Lady Gaga, if you want to remain the superstar that you are, here is, a labor strike.
You have not had a hit album since the 2010s.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Here's a building that could be converted into public housing for the low price of $700,000. Make it happen. Boom.
Yep.
It's a winner. I'm telling you. I'm getting ideas now. I'm getting psyched for this.
Gas.
Yeah, now we're cooking. Now we're thinking. This is a new year, new era. We got to change the way we think about certain things. All right. All right, folks. So let's do this one. This is a fun one. All right. So as the new year came to, in fact, before we do that, hold on. What did I do? Oh, shit. Okay. I want to do our supporter scroll right now, actually. I had it queued up, and I don't know what the hell happened to it. There it is. Beautiful. Okay. See, we need someone who can see. This is why we have a timer. Can make all this happen for us. All right, we'll make this happen here. All right, so there is finally our supporter scroll. Hold on, I'll get the A's in there. I'll restart it for you. Fair is fair. Folks, if you like what we do, why don't you kick off the new year? Make one of your New Year's resolutions. Say, hey, you know what I'm going to do this year? I'm going to spend $50 or $60 supporting the Do Dissidents Project and become either a monthly or an annual subscriber to our project here. You can go to patreon.com/Do Dissidents. You can also go to dodissidents.substack.com, or you can join our locals. We're really hitting the locals hard in 2025. They are a free speech, Rumble-backed supporter platform at dodissidents.locals.com. For the low price of $5 a month, you get your name up in lights here on the show credits. You get call-in access to our post-show Q&As every Sunday night. You also get one bonus live stream per month that is just like a regular show. We do about an hour's worth of content, just like we're doing now, and then we take about an hour's worth of calls. You also get a movie club night, which is also an interactive call-in show, which we do once a month for subscribers. You also get live stream access to our pre-recorded interviews. So we premiered our interview with Jordan Sheridan last night. That was very well received, so thanks to everyone who tuned in. If you're a paid member, you got to see that live as it happened, and you had early access to it for the 2 days that it was sitting privately in our video library. So you get all that for just $5 a month, plus the good karma of supporting independent media. Our subscribers are the backbone of the project. They are what censor-proof the operation, and so we absolutely rely on subscribers to keep the lights on here at the Do Dissidents podcast. So dodissidents.locals.com is where you go to sign up. If you're watching on Rumble, it's even easier than that. You don't even have to type in a link. There's a bright red button underneath the video player with the word join on it. When you click that button, it takes you to our locals page where you can sign up and become a member. You guys are the backbone of the show. We say it every time because we mean it every time, so thank you very much for your support. All righty. Let's move on. Okay. Oh, what happened here? Oh, interesting. Okay. All right, never mind. Okay.
What's going on there, man?
No.
You're a little scattered today.
I had an old version of a slideshow in there. Yeah. But yeah, this one is the correct one. All right, everybody. So let's move on. Let's do a fun one. So obviously, Tuesday night was New Year's Eve, and in New York City, Whitney Cummings joined Anderson Cooper and what's his name? Andy Cohen. I always forget this guy's name. Andy Cohen. Is that his name in the chat? You know, it doesn't matter how many times I look this guy's name up.
I don't know. I don't watch these jerk-offs.
No matter how many times I look this guy's name up, I always forget it. But Whitney Cummings joined Anderson Cooper and Andy Cohen for New Year's Eve in Times Square. Now, they had umbrellas. Apparently, the plebes were not allowed to carry umbrellas since they're standing too close together. But they brought Whitney Cummings on, stand-up comic, to roast 2024. Whitney's roast of 2024. So the idea is she was going to come and do some material on the past year, but she devoted the lion's share of her airtime to basically trolling and roasting CNN itself and the sacred cows of CNN, like the Democratic Party, for one. So here she is talking about the Democrats' doomed campaign over the past year.
For election fried our brains. 2024 election fried our brains. The Democrats couldn't hold a primary because they were too busy holding a body upright. Are we still rolling? Am I off?
Go for it.
It was amazing that the pro-choice party didn't give their voters one when it came to the presidential candidate. Kamala was forced on us so hard you'd think she was patented by Pfizer or Moderna, whichever one's... Oh, God. Andy just gave me a very scary look.
No!
There's one.
Dropping the bangers. Dropping the bangers.
Dropping the bangers, indeed. Then she went on to roast CNN's dwindling audience size here. So there's the punchline in writing. We'll let you hear it in real time here.
Because you see that Americans really are more reasonable than they would be portrayed. They're pretty great, and I'm playing bigger and bigger venues now. I thought being a mom would mean that less people would want to come see me. I'm now playing, like 3,000 seat theaters, which is about the viewership of CNN these days.
Well,
Not this show, though.
Nice.
All eyes are on this show.
Wow, you're all firing. Andy and I had a tour. We did like 3,000 people. Yes.
You see, I like
changing that subject.
Tries to change. Yeah, it's interesting. Andy and I did 3,000 seat shows as well. Now this was apparently she also made a joke about dead presidential chefs, but this one I thought hit really hard. So I like this one. This is mentioning of the Hunter Biden laptop, but it has a little more teeth even than that.
Documentaries finally realized the only way to make money is to just make them about cheerleaders. The Dallas Cowboys cheerleader doc showed the girls being treated horribly, underpaid, crying. I thought I'd open a video on Hunter Biden's laptop.
Oh!
This is the year everyone hated the movie The Joker, but if you do love watching men descend into insanity, in a couple hours you get to watch Andy Cohen do the countdown.
So the Hunter Biden joke about underpaid girls, she's referring to that video that came out where he's haggling with the Ukrainian prostitute over the amount of drugs that she's selling him. Yeah. So that's a pretty intense joke to make on CNN. So where'd she get this material? Well, okay, so what makes this story interesting is this is a metaphor for the collapse of legacy media and the rise of the online space, because she crowdsourced inspiration for her set on X. No better place to ask this question. What stories did the mainstream media refuse to cover? Trump shooter, no silverware, Monsanto paying Google to skew search results, etc., etc. Notice she tweeted that out on December 30th, the day before the gig, asking for a work thing I'm doing. So she's not revealing yet that she's going to be the New Year's Eve comic act. I have a long list, but I'm sure I'm missing some. And so she crowdsources this out to X. When you finally understand the media is just the public relations operation of its corporate stakeholders, everything changes. Sometimes I feel bad for people who finally see this. It breaks your reality. Totally. She starts giving the Elon answers, the one-word answers. Insider trading with politicians. Epstein, poison food. Great. Biden sharp as a tack. Totally. How Vivek became wealthy. Ooh. This guy really goes hard. Suppression of detransitioner stories and corporate influence on media coverage. And she responds to that. Oh, wow. Then she posts a video in advance of her New Year's Eve appearance where, okay, so you saw her go places that, made a few hairs stand up over at CNN, especially the dig about the ratings. These media companies they do not have a sense of humor about that. That's why Anderson Cooper changed the subject. And obviously the Hunter Biden haggling with the hookers over the crack cocaine. Okay, so that had some teeth. But this is kind of revealing here as to where she didn't go and why.
Tonight's the night, CNN New Year's Eve live. I'm going to be roasting the year 2024, and I'm already starting to worry that they're going to cut the feed halfway through. They've been cool so far, but we will see. Just know that I'm supposed to do 8 to 10 minutes. So if they, if my set is less than 5, just know that I have been cut. I did delete the Scientology joke. I stayed away from Israel, Palestine. I
cut the Scientology joke. I mean, we know Israel, Palestine's a third rail. Scientology, we hear about the influence of Scientology in show business and Hollywood and how vindictive the Scientologists can be if you cross them. She says, I cut the Scientology joke and I stayed away from Israel, Palestine.
Cut. I did delete the Scientology joke. I stayed away from Israel, Palestine. I had to say alleged for a couple things. You'll be hearing the word alleged quite a bit. We'll see. All right. Is there anything you think I have to mention that I might have not included? Now's the time, because I'm going live on CNN in 6 hours.
So looked kind of brave there. Looked kind of brave. Look, she landed some blows. She got some digs in. She did all right, but interesting how she says in advance, I cut the Scientology and I stayed off of Israel-Palestine. You notice that's the place nobody will go. None of these showbiz people will touch Israel-Palestine. Now, Scientology, I mean, you might have some commentary on this. That's more your beat than mine. But that's some fucked up shit, too, there. They're like, no, I won't cross the side. I'll make fun of Hunter Biden haggling with a hooker over crack prices, but I won't touch Scientology. Like, why is Scientology more of a third rail than that? That's pretty weird shit.
Well, I had not known he had been making that joke. I was speaking to him privately, Max Blumenthal. I mean, I'm not spilling the tea or anything. When we were helping them out with StreamYard and all that stuff in Chicago. And I said, yeah, you know, the way these Zionists act, it really reminds me of the Scientologists. And he said, oh, right. Yeah, I called them Scientologists. That's exactly how they act. The way that they bully and harass anybody who tries to challenge them in order to create this chilling effect so that nobody wants to mess around with them. Now, Scientology, I don't know, man. I guess she's still in L.A. I guess they have some influence. Everybody makes fun of them now. It's not like it used to. Like God bless them, Trey Stone and Matt Parker opened the floodgates. Right. Ever since then, everybody makes fun of the Scientologists. So I don't know why she's so afraid of that. But yeah, with Israel, they act just like the Scientologists. Very similar tactics.
Yeah. Yeah. And afraid to go there. Wouldn't go there. You know, that's the thing. We're going to see, you know, the last year, the Oscars, you had the one guy, the Israeli filmmaker, make the anti-apartheid speech that the Zionists went crazy for. You know, tried to cancel him over that. And, you know, this year we'll see what happens. But, you know, even in a segment like that, which went viral for how sort of like aggressive and subversive it was, she says there, yeah, no, I stayed off of Israel-Palestine. I didn't want any part of that. I mean, that is pretty telling. That's pretty telling. All right.
Well, that's what, hey, as we speak, ballless playwright Stephen Adley Gurgis is harassing me again about an anti-Zionist post on my social media. Why is that? Why is that? This guy, he's freaking. He's Arab. He's freaking. Right. He's got cousins who have been killed by Israel. Why? Because the fucking producers are fucking Zionists. A lot of them. Right. A lot of them. They don't want to fuck with that. They don't want to fuck with their Hollywood contacts, man. It can cost them a lot of work if they take a pro-Palestine stance.
Yep. That's exactly what it is. That's why even in a bit that goes, you know, viral for how red-pilled it was, that's the one place she didn't even bother. Didn't even bother. She says, I deleted the Scientology joke, so she made that and then thought better of it. Didn't even think of touching the Israel-Palestine issue. No, I would never think to go there.
They're all fucking cowards.
As brave as I am. Yeah.
They're all cowards, and that's why every moral stance they pretend to have, I had very little patience for it before. I have zero patience for it post October 7th.
Right.
You want to impress me, speak out for Palestine.
Yeah.
And if you won't do that, I have no I give you no kudos for anything else.
Exactly. I agree 100%. Let's see here. Ken Texican says YouTube seems to have opened up a little while Rumble's gatekeepers programmers seem to have tightened or simply a glitch. Whatever the case, ... Thank you, Ken Texican. My presence at the Swords to Plowshares statue, chiseled by USSR sculptor at the UN Sculpture Garden last week, does not make me a Putin puppet. I'm a U.S. vet against war and peacenik. Where are you from, Ken Texican? Where are you from, Ken? Because so you were in New York City. Would you visit, or are you from the New York area? I'm assuming you were visiting. In case you missed it, Newsweek article, Biden just gave a middle finger to working class about increasing H1B visa limit for 25. Oh, okay. So that might be something for Sunday. That might answer your question, Alan. I hadn't seen that. Thank you, John M. Appreciate that. I'll take problem reaction solution meets a Gladio for $500. Alex, thank you. Killer Hitting, appreciate that. Kit's Corner said, should we swap defense budget for health care and then go fund me the support for Ukraine and Israel? It's horrible America goes through this, and Canada is sadly turning into that. Fight for health. Thank you, Kids Corner. Appreciate that. Ellen says, what is you organized it on a tip basis 10% before taxes? Okay. I'm not sure what that refers to, Ellen. But thank you for that. Okay. All right. So, hey, this is a fun one. This is a really fun one. I couldn't believe this segment. We're going to talk about our new peer in this space now for our final segment of the day. Our new peer, our new fellow podcaster, Don Lemon.
Don Lemon is tearing it up. He is tearing it up. Okay, so Don Lemon went on an unhinged anti-MAGA rant this week. And if you look at the backstory, it's not surprising that he chose this whole blow up about the H1B visas to rant about, because that is very associated with Elon and Vivek. And he has some history with both of them. Now, you might remember, to give you a little bit of the background, part of the reason supposedly he got fired from CNN, one of the last straws, was this interview with Vivek.
Revolution in this country. You are sitting here telling an African American about the rights and what you find insulting about the way I live, the skin I live in every day.
Here's where you and I have a different
freedoms
point
that
of view.
black and white that black people don't have in this country, and that black people do have.
Well, here's where you and I have a different point of view. I think we should be able to express our views regardless of the color of our skin. We should have this debate
I'm not saying you
without me regarding you as a black
it's
man,
insulting that
but
you're
me regarding you
here,
as a fellow citizen.
That you're
That's what I
sitting
think
here,
we should say.
whatever ethnicity you are, explaining to me
whatever ethnicity
about
I'm,
what it's like to be black.
Whatever
in America.
ethnicity I'm, I'll tell you what I am. I'm an Indian American. I'm proud of it. But I think we should have this debate. Black, white, doesn't matter.
I think we should have this
on
debate.
the content of the ideas.
If you're going to do it, you should do it in an honest way and in a fair way. And what you're doing is not an honest and fair way. Okay?
With,
but we appreciate you coming on.
With due respect, Don, I look forward to continuing that conversation.
We'll
Thank
continue
you.
the conversation.
Thank you.
I think all Americans are lazy, fat, and stupid. And I think they have too many friends and spend too much time shopping at the mall and not enough time reading. Doesn't matter whether you're black or white. I think all Americans are losing on the world stage. I think China's eating all of our lunch because we suck. You know, he didn't say that, did he? Because he was running for president at the time.
No, at the time he did not. And honestly, I don't really understand why CNN would have had a big problem with that. It fell right in the normal virtue signaling lane, and Vivek was making what was frankly a pretty deranged claim that blacks got their freedom because of the Second Amendment, or they got their civil rights because of the Second Amendment. I mean, Don Lemon was not wrong to push back on that. So I don't know why that maybe they felt he lacked a certain grace in the way he handled it, but that's never bothered CNN before. Right. So that could just be a rumor that that's part of what got him fired. I think it was more the going after middle-aged women as unable to do politics.
Right, past her prime. Nikki Haley's past her prime.
Her prime, right. Yeah. That I would say it's more that than insisting that the suggestion that blacks got their civil rights because of the Second Amendment is insane, which it is. Right. But here, if you remember, when he first left CNN, it's really been a long slide for poor Don Lemon. So he's this anchor at CNN, one of the dumbest, which is really saying something, one of the dumbest anchors on the air at CNN, but for many years, gets fired from CNN, sucks too much for CNN, to even be a token at CNN. He sucks too much to be a CNN token, gets fired, cuts a deal with Elon, cuts one of those monetization deals with Elon, one of those very rare deals, and lights it on fire.
Do you believe that X and you have some responsibility to moderate hate speech on the platform? That you wouldn't have to answer these questions from reporters about the Great Replacement Theory as it relates to Democrats? I don't have to answer these questions. The Great Replacement Theory as it relates to Jewish people. Do you think that?
I don't have to answer questions from reporters. Don, the only reason I'm doing this interview is because you're on the X platform and you asked for it. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, I would not do this interview.
So you don't think? Do you think that you wouldn't get in trouble or you wouldn't be criticized for these things?
I'm criticized constantly. I could care less.
All right. So Elon, in Queen of Hearts fashion, off with his head, kills the deal with Don Lemon. Don Lemon, because we've been trying to contact him to bring him on Jimmy's show. You never know. A shot in the dark.
Worth a shot.
It took a shot. You never know. But let's take a look before we get into the clip. Let's take a look at what Don Lemon's been doing. It's really been quite a fall from grace. Okay, so his YouTube channel has 310,000 subscribers, which honestly, if you were at CNN, over 10 years, that's not that great. But his viewership numbers are really, really sad. 8.5, 5, 17. That was a very good day for him. 6.1. I mean, there are kids in their basement playing Final Fantasy live who are doing much better numbers than Don Lemon. So he's very incentivized to get some controversy. And he did this week by going off on MAGA farmers. A lot of libs are trying to frame MAGA as a fuck around, find out kind of thing. Oh, wait until they do these tariffs. So he kind of bought into that. And even that, you want to see how little interest people have in Don Lemon? This is a banner video for him. 75,000.
Right.
It's nothing. But let's see what he said.
Some farmers say without these workers, they have about 2 days that they can run their farms. And then after that, it's over. Oh my gosh, I love this. Now you're finding out, you dumb fucking idiots. Now you're just figuring this shit out. You're so fucking stupid and you deserve it. And you fucking deserve it because you're so dumb. Jim, it's hypocrisy. So go with me here. Yes, I am gloating over your stupidity.
Notice he uses our system. These guys must be worth tens of millions of dollars. He uses our StreamYard, so it's the same exact technology that we have.
And how you were taken. I'm cackling in Kamala, says in Shanta. You have been co-opted because you're in a fucking cult and you don't even realize it because you have stupid MAGA brain and you don't get it. How stupid and dumb are you? And I'm just going to I can't wait to go through this. Okay. So I'm going to read this again. So Krishnan's appointment triggered an anti-Indian backlash on social media, particularly given his past advocacy for increasing green cards and immigration broadly. Oh, no.
Notice on the TV screen and back of his shoulder, he has himself on the TV, like a couple seconds behind him. Yeah.
Watch him. Infinite Hall of Don Lemons.
Watch him on like a 2-second
I'm watching
delay.
myself, watching myself, watching myself.
Yep.
Immigration. We can't do the immigration because it's hot in here, guys. Sorry. Woo! Thank you. We can't do the immigration because, the immigration, it triggers some people. You know what they're saying about the anti-immigrant stuff, right?
Maybe don't wear Baron Harkonnen's costume from
Who's it to
David
say
Lynch's version of Dune.
One of the jobs you might be seeking won't be one of those white jobs. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. So
yeah, so he was having a real good time there. And hey, it actually got some attention. Some channels commented on it, so he had to go back for more. But wow, talk about diminishing returns. 45,000 on this one. On his clapback. On his epic clapback. So let's see what his epic clapback is.
Responding to the MAGA folks who were being racist in regards to the gentleman that Donald Trump nominated to be the head of AI. They were on the internet, look it up yourself, being very racist and very vitriolic about Donald Trump appointing this person. And Vivek Ramaswamy got involved, and then he insulted, according to them, the MAGA people. Okay? So as always, everybody gets all butthurt. I'm not referring to all of Trump supporters. I'm talking to the MAGA brain people who will say and do anything to make excuses for any behavior that Donald Trump does, any bad behavior that the MAGA movement does. So yes, I stand by my words. And if you don't like what I said, then too effing bad. I don't care. And let me point the hypocrisy out to you, because you guys always say, we are not electing, we are not voting for what? A pastor in chief. Sometimes I have an issue with some of the things that he says. It's true. I don't like how he says it, but it's true. So you have to have the same standards for other people that you have for your guy. Some of you, the cult leader. Okay.
Okay. Is the issue that they took with what you said your language? Were they coming at you for cursing? For cussing too much? Or were they coming at you for rooting for the failure and economic ruin of people you don't agree with politically? And you want to talk about a cult, people running around talking about how the only possible reason that Kamala Harris, who was losing to Mayo Pete in South Carolina, could possibly have lost was racism and sexism and how she ran a perfect campaign. That's not a cult. Those people are not in a cult. Now, here you want to see a cult. Here's a cult. Don Lemon's comments section, what there is of it. I've been waiting for this version of you to come out. I saw you bite your tongue so many times on CNN, it hurt. I'm so blown away and can say the damn truth without the bosses tying your hands. We got your back. Yeah. Okay, this is what's funny about this. I guess the lane he's trying to carve out is okay, well, now they're trying to accommodate MAGA. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep going. And that makes me a rebel. Love it. Please, please keep being our anger translator. I'm tired of them spitting so much hate and us just supposed to turn the other cheek. Yeah, that's what you were doing before. Tell it, Don. Don't hold back. You are so right. This is one of the reasons I'm done with the corporate Democrats, Don Lemon. Is a radical leftist. I won't give them a vote just because they're not as bad as Republicans anymore. Earn it. Can you take down the thing?
Oh, yeah, sorry. Where's that at?
They are too high and mighty to roll up their sleeves and get in the ring while they chastise anyone like you who will. So the next candidate better have teeth or they can beat it. So what you think the establishment Democrats are doing are criticizing people who are too hard on MAGA? I mean, the level of stupid, you just can't make it up. It feels really good to be a lemon head these past couple of days. Don't apologize to the asses. Love your honesty, Mr. Lemon. Speak truth to power, Don. I'm tired of MAGA. He can say what he wants and folks are afraid to address it. He's the very reason the temperature in this country is what it is. Oh, so people who have been running around calling all their political opponents Nazis and Russian agents have nothing to do with the level of political discourse. And the idea that you're going to frame Don Lemon as a fighter against the establishment, that's a level of stupid that makes the MSNBC audience look like a meeting of the Mensa Society.
Well, you know, what's amazing to me about this is that, you know, he goes off on that very like profane rant, taunting people how stupid you are. It's almost like he's very confident in his ability to make it in the alternative media game, because like once you go there, that tells me you really have no plans to be back at CNN or any organization like it anytime soon. Like you're not really plausible as a neutral commentator at that point. Like that's kind of what he was. I mean, his show was, I guess it was to a certain extent. I mean, he had his own primetime show, and then he had the daytime thing that you saw with Vivek. He was never really all in the opinion lane or all in the straight news lane, so he had to maintain like some plausible neutrality. And now that's out the window. I mean, now there's no unringing that bell. So I guess he's all in on being a YouTuber and a podcaster, and his numbers don't seem good enough for him to be all in that way. But I don't know. Maybe he has money saved up from those CNN years.
One would imagine.
Yeah.
It seems like, based on those comments and based on what he's doing, it seems he has decided that his audience is an audience of people who are too stupid for MSNBC. That's what he's decided his lane is. These are people who are so dumb, they think MSNBC is insufficiently Trump deranged.
Right.
And I'm going to be able to frame myself as fighting their Trump accommodation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there's also something
All right.
I noticed. There's also something I noticed that I think you will find some solace in, Russ, because if you
Point
notice
the
here,
hypocrisy out to you, because you guys always say we are not electing.
so if you notice there, he obviously has the same mic issues as you because he thinks that microphone's picking up his voice, but it's clearly not. That's clearly the computer sound that he's talking into.
It
Even though
is-
the
it
mic
is.
is there.
You are not voting for
that mic is
a
not
pastor in chief.
The mic is not hooked up the right way. So it's just like us. He's running such a low budget shop. He has the StreamYard software, which
He
is what
doesn't.
we
He
have.
doesn't have a tech guy at the
He doesn't have a
house.
tech guy to tell him the mic's not picking up your voice. It's coming off the computer. It's the wrong input, even though he thinks he's talking into the microphone. So, yeah, that is some operation he's running.
I mean, you go do Jimmy's show. There's a whole soundboard.
Right. Yeah.
There's
Exactly.
somebody running it.
Yeah.
This guy's just in his living room.
Yep.
Doing his thing. He doesn't even have a partner to notice that the sound's not hooked
The
up.
sound's not right. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. And as it pertains to the Whitney Cummings thing, it's kind of similar here. Like, so 10 years ago, if Whitney Cummings got a gig being the comic act on CNN New Year's Eve, that would be the gig. You'd want to nail that because that's your maximum exposure. Now, and this, like I said, shows the shift from legacy media to the new, tech media, Twitter, podcasting. She uses the CNN appearance to go viral online. Right? So it shows you don't actually value the time on CNN. You just use CNN to create viral clips that you then circulate online. And it really is indicative of just how the media environment is completely turned on its head.
Sure. Well, and that I'm sure makes it more lucrative for her to go out on tour because now she goes viral online. She uses that to leverage a bigger paycheck when she books dates. That's what it's for.
Right.
Go on CNN, create controversy.
And with Don Lemon, he obviously feels that the future is brighter on StreamYard than it is on cable TV because he's certainly going all in on that.
He wasn't given a lot of choice.
No, but he's certainly going all in on that. Like Chris Cuomo got fired from CNN and he restarted doing essentially the same thing on News Nation, right? Like you just dip your toe back into that world. Now Cuomo has his own pod. They all have podcasts. Even Anderson Cooper has a podcast now. Right. But they leave that door open. This kind of closes that door. I mean, what network is going to hire him to do news? That can't happen.
Well, you want to see how stupid Don Lemon is. You got fired by CNN. Elon throws you a lifeline. And what did you think? You were going to get back into corporate media by going after Elon? Like you were going to impress them? That just the strategic thinking behind that. This man is a moron.
Yeah. Well,
if you felt like you couldn't do the interview in a way that, assuming he has some kind of principles, I don't assume that, but assume that. Okay, so don't do that interview at that time when you really need this guy. If you feel like that was the only way you could do that interview with integrity, don't do it.
Yeah, well, I always thought, his show and Chris Cuomo's show back to back, that is a brain drain right there. You talk about a brain drain to have those guys go back.
You're
to
literally, back. It's like Truman Capote said about L.A. For every year you spend there, you lose 2 IQ points.
Yeah.
For every night you watch that lineup, you lose 2 IQ points.
Yeah, that is a hell of a 1-2 punch they had going there for a while. But now, 3,000 viewers a night, haha, according to Whitney Cummings. All right, we're going to read some Rumble Rants and Super Chats, and then we are going to close the lights on our first stream of 2025. Thanks for being here with us today. Appreciate all you guys very much. Please smash that
a word
like
of
button.
explanation on my new set.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so up here, I'm going to put books that we're promoting. So I'm going to leave Jordan up there for a couple of sessions. That is my autographed copy of Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas up there.
Oh, nice.
So we're going to be changing things around a little bit. Keaton's going to do his thing over the weekend. I'm going to change my lighting. I've got to experiment, but the lighting will be different on Sunday. So,
yes.
New year, new sets.
New year, new sets, new projects, folks. We also have, like we said here, our Project 2025. I'm going to put that up here before we close the lights on this. So, Do Dissidents Project 25. These are the budgets that we need. We're going to head to Seattle. We will, at the very least, be sending Russell to Seattle for the Workers' Strike Back convention. That's a 2-day convention. We're going to live stream that and have footage for you guys there. We're going to head down to Washington, D.C. to cover the inauguration, and then the big project of the summer is going to be our documentary on the Uhuru movement. So we're looking to raise $10,000 to make all of these dreams come true and projects come true. We were able to, I must say, hit it out of the park last year with your help. So if you would like to chip into that, you can go to givesendgo.com/do dissidents. If you can throw a few shekels in our hat there, that goes a long way towards making these projects happen this year, all of which we are very, very excited about. So that's givesendgo.com/do dissidents if you would like to chip into the special projects fund, the on-the-ground reporting fund, and the documentary fund. Once again, givesendgo.com/do dissidents. All right, we got
and just to make clear, your money all goes to the project.
It all goes to the projects. Yeah,
we don't take salary
No.
or anything. It's just to cover the expenses of doing it.
Exactly. Yeah, we don't compensate ourselves for the time. So yeah, it's all towards all towards the projects themselves. All right, Yasim Miller, thanks for the $20. Istanbul's Pay It Forward program lets residents anonymously help people pay utility. System matches donors with those in need. Expanding to include student scholarships and new mother support. Could be done for health bill, too. Here's an idea. Give that a heart, Yasim Miller. Thank you very much. Not just Cummings. Bobby Lee, Andrew Santino, Segura go down the list. They shut their mouth about Israel because they lose money and social capital. Exactly. At least Theo Vaughn had people on to talk Israel. Well, that's the thing. Like, if you're actually like cut from the cloth of being, like an independent creator, whether it's like a stand-up comic or like a podcaster, then you're less in that mindset of I need somebody to pay me, right? You could just kind of feel confident enough that with the backing of your audience, you can go your own way. That's why independent media can be more freeing. Now, of course, there are pitfalls as well. We know. There's a certain game that a lot of creators play with their own audiences to keep them corralled in a certain mindset rather than sort of challenge them. But when you're from a system that's as top down as Hollywood, yeah, you're always reliant on someone above you to give you that gig, and that makes you very, very hesitant to go out on a limb.
Well, that's why you hear so little from them.
Right. Exactly.
Like they're all just trying to stay out of it because, personally, they're probably mostly pro-Palestine.
Yeah, of course.
Professionally, they won't say a word about it.
Yep. Brad Gilbert, there's difference between MAGA, a movement started by Trump, and Trumpers who trade the trust the experts for trust the plan. Don got it backwards. That's a good point, Brad Gilbert. I dig that. Excuse me. Kevin Martinez, thanks to the $9.99. Love the idea of getting celebrities to give back. Gene Hackman, we're coming for you. Tom Atkins, look out. You also have to go after the estate of Eli Wallach. Sincerely, though, good for Kristen Bell. Yes, indeed. Thank you. Ken Texican says, was on Christmas pilgrimage to America's greatest city, inspired by Father Barry's, a.k.a. Carl Malden's, sermon on the dock speech on the waterfront. Thank you, Ken Texican. Appreciate that. Kuznetsky Bassane says, Don Lemon, turning his own lemons into haterade. Oh, there you go. Keaton, you yid. Here's the definition of tith from a goy. Contribution of 1/10 of one income for the support of a church. The I is a long I, tithe. Okay, see, I didn't know that. That's because I'm the Hebe. Yes, so I did not know that. So that explains Ellen's Rumble rant. So there you go. Beautiful. All right. Well, I think that is our show, everybody. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. I want to do this read here for Dan Richman. So Dan Richman has the Hebe and Goy podcast. Now I want to read this today before we leave, because Dan Richman, for those who did not stick around for the Q&A, well, did he say that on the Sunday show, or did he say that on the Patron show? Which show did he call into? So our friend Dan Richman from the Hebe and Goy podcast, which is a great podcast, you should all subscribe. Go to hebeandgoy.com, or go to just type Hebe and Goy into your YouTube search. It's just a slice of life comedy podcast with him and his friend Bruce. They have not recorded recently because Dan suffered an aneurysm a few weeks ago and was on a ventilator for almost 2 full weeks. So we did not know until he called in to one of our most recent call-in shows. So you can brighten his mood by going to hebeandgoy.com, or put it in the YouTube search, subscribe to his show, send him a comment, send Dan some love as we wish him all the best for his recovery. When he called in, he sounded pretty good for having endured what he did. I mean, it wasn't like a stroke, like he was speaking. He was of sound mind. We could understand everything he said, but he is obviously roughed up, and so I'm sure it would brighten his day if you went and subscribed to his YouTube channel and dropped him a comment, dropped him a line. Hope you're doing well. So that's Hebe and Goy. No ampersand. Hebe and Goy. Type it into YouTube and subscribe to his channel, or you can find a podcast, hebeandgoy.com. Alrighty, I think that's everything. Is that not? Well, we got one more here from Abiding. Abiding slipped in his Rumble rant the last minute. Corn Pop missed the opportunity to walk Bob Dylan on stage summer of 75. Appreciate that very much. Alrighty, folks, that's our show. Thanks for kicking off the new year with us. Hope you enjoyed it. We enjoyed waking up with you guys. Thanks for waking up with us. We are going to be on Revolutionary Blackout Network tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Eastern for our inaugural 2025 edition of the Post-Duopoly Show. And then we are, of course, back here Sunday night, 7 p.m., as always, for our flagship broadcast. Until we see you again, thanks very much for this morning. Be safe and be well.
Courage!
Please clap.